Hustler mindset? And better yet, can you learn to be one? I'm going to give you my definition of what a hustler is: a person that sees opportunity and acts upon it. That's it. I know you were expecting, my name's Lenny and I got plenty. The guy from Good Times holding open his coat and he was on the street corner with watches and fake gold jewelry. Essentially, hustling is recognizing that you can exploit a situation for personal gain. We live in a culture where people frown upon that. I'll give you an example. When you go to a garage sale, and someone has something on their table for sale, and it has, say, a price tag of $5, $10 on it, right? But you know that that item is extremely valuable and could be worth 10 grand. There are two types of people that would see it and have two different responses. The first person, the namby-pamby do-gooder, would be like, excuse me, buddy. Do you know that pocket watch there you have for five? That's really worth 10 grand. You should put it somewhere else and make more money. And then there's me. You want $10 for that? Psh! That $10 bill would come out of my hand so fast it would be fire on it. There would be some people that would say, I took advantage of the garage seller who put that watch on the table, and I didn't get 10 grand, I got 8, and sold it. There are some people that have a fundamental problem with that because the seller, who did not do their due diligence, put an extremely valuable item out for sale, and he put a price on it. And I will tell you this to this day, if he had put $100 on it, the $100 bill would have flew out of my hand with fire on it. This is one of the things that I should teach you. When you see something valuable and you do what I call the breakdown or the bargain basement, like, hey, buddy, I know you got $10 on there. Could you do it for 5? Frequently, you alert the person to the true value of the item based on your body language, and really depending on where they are in their walk on communication, because communication, 75% of communication is nonverbal. They may intrinsically pick up on that you're trying to get over, because the thing is, you are. When I made that transaction, I wasn't trying to get over. I knew what it was worth. He was asking $10. If he asked 100, I would have gave it to him. If he had asked 500, I would have gave it to him. If he had put 1,000 on it, I would have given it to him. I gave him his price, and he said, "Thank you, buddy. You want here's some other stuff, because everyone down here," and these are his words, not mine, "everyone down here is trying to Jew me down." He was happy with his $10. But there are some of you out there who couldn't sleep at night. And you want to know why? And it's not because you took advantage of a person who gave you their price and you paid that price. It's because you are uncomfortable with success. Because success brings on new responsibility. And if you're not used to being accountable for success, you run from it and you would fuck it up because you are uncomfortable with success. You would do dumb shit like that and think because you did not pay the person the price that they were asking, and you decided to inform them that they had more money on the table, that you're somehow this good person. You are a spineless, gutless coward. Because you don't want to step your game up, because life would put more responsibility on your sorry, slack-jawed ass. That's why people turn in money. Because if you find $150,000, $200,000, $300,000, it will change your life in There's a scientific study, I don't have it close at hand, but I read it years ago, that the average human being, that includes you, is not really comfortable with more than 10 to 15% change at any given time. 25% can make you nervous. 50% can make you commit suicide. 30 to 40% can make you start drinking too much or doing drugs because it's change and you're not used to it because you don't embrace change. There was a person that bought a house. And if you've ever bought a house, you know it's a legal transaction. You go through a lot of stuff. You have to get the mortgage. You have to give up your firstborn. You have to sign the contract in blood. They bought this house, paid what the people were asking for this house. As they're fixing up their house, they come across some money in the attic. $45,000 to $50,000, I believe, in cash. What do they do with this money that they found in their house that they paid the price on, that they bought honestly with no guile, no compulsion? They found the original owner and gave them the money. Let me hit rewind. They got a mortgage, bought this house, paid the price, but due to a namby-pamby good do-gooder ethic in this world that people like, well, yeah, you know, they did the right thing. That makes me feel good about humanity. Did anyone ever think that well, actually, I messed that up. They bought a house from an elderly gentleman. They found his living heirs and gave him the money. And the guy said, well, you know, if it was me, I would want my son to have money. No one ever thought maybe dad didn't want them to have the fucking money. People with money are notorious for that. It's like, yeah, you're in the will, your ass is out the will. You're in the will, your ass is out the will. My thoughts were, he didn't do a will. That money was for him. And he wasn't planning on giving it to him. But these people who bought the house, paid the price for the house, gave the money up. That money would have changed their lives. And this wasn't a single man. This was a man with a wife and kids. And it was like, that's a good lesson. That's foolish. Foolish with a capital FOOLISH, all in capitals. Foolish. If he had taken that money and split it down the middle, $20,000 a piece, and put that money in a Roth IRA, because I believe both of his kids were under 10, by the time they got to college, he would have had half their tuition or more for each. But no, this isn't the money. It's not our money. It's in our house that we're paying this big ass mortgage on, but it's not our money. Fear. Fear. A true hustler would have been, thank you, kissed the money, held some up to the sun and said, thank you, universe, for blessing me, because I bought this house, because I did many things in my previous months and years that put me in a position to buy this house, and this is an additional bonus. But people who are afraid of success, oh, no, they're gonna fuck it up. It's like that chick that you're dating, and she knows you're a good dude, and she'll even say some silly shit like this. You know, guys who are foolish, you know, I'm all on that, but someone, dude, that shit scares me, and I just push them away. Because they're afraid of being accountable and responsibility. Hustling doesn't just extend to transactions of goods and services. Hustling extends on the emotional level, the way that you deal with your friends, your family, your loved ones. This is how I became a hustler. I've always considered myself a hard worker, would get out there and do what I needed to do to make a little extra change. Worked hard, cut grass in the Alabama sun for years. I would get a tan, and you know, I'm pretty dark already. I would become what I used to call bohemian chocolate. And I love that look. I was so dark. I mean, I would look in the mirror, you could see the collar out where my shirt and neckline met. And I was just like this rich I love that shit. That was just working, right? Well, many, many years ago, after I really embraced the hustler mindset, I came across an opportunity. And for many of you, this would be an ethical dilemma. I worked for a company, a contract office furniture company. On the American Hustler podcast, we don't name names because it's the thing to do. Unless you're a complete and utter dumbass, then you will get named. But things in the past, things I've done, it's just best to leave them where they are in the past. I worked for a guy, a smart guy, and we had a certain targeted customer. And I was getting some, but I calculated and I went to him and I said, look, if we deal with these customers, we can make more money because, and he sat me down and he said, oh, we looked at that before and, we just didn't really see it being worth our while and just stick to the targets. And I was summarily dismissed from his office. And really, in translation, that deal's not big enough for me and you because the way the commission structure was, we got 50% of the net, which is really great if you can get the deal. It's awesome. You do a $300,000 deal and say the net's about 120, you get 60 G's. They did that. I got checks. They was honest about it. But those deals were getting harder and harder to source. So I meet this client, and they were already on the list before I had this conversation with the owner of the company because they were clearly not a target, but I was going to try to sell because it was right there on the borderline. I was like, I'm going to squeak this one in because I need some money. So I meet with the office manager, and we start talking. And then she tells me she has a new directive. And I was like, what's your new directive? She's like, well, before we buy any new office furniture, we must look at what we have and see if we can repurpose it. And do you know anyone that refinishes furniture? So at this point, my heart sinks because I'm like, oh shit, even this isn't working right. And I was like, you know what? Push. Just keep pushing. You hear, what's the harm in going? You never know what's going to develop. So I said, sure. And her name was Nancy. That was her first name. I doubt you can find her from that. And Nancy and I go to the old location, and she opens it up, and it's one level, and there's just oodles and tons of furniture. There's all kinds of stuff. There was even a generator because they had servers, and they always had to have 100% uptime. So they had this big industrial generator outside for the facility. And I said, Nancy, what if I sold this for you at a 50% commission? And Nancy, who was a little stoic and a little standoffish, became alive. She put her hand on my bicep and said, ooh, that's firm. And then me being the flirty guy that I am, I was like, well, if you keep pressing on this, something else is going to be firm. Ha, ha, ha. She laughed. She winked. I laughed. And she said, well, let me talk to my boss. I said, okay. And she said, no, hold on. I'll call him right now. And I got to talk to her boss, and he's like, I like the ideal, Nancy. Okay. And just for my safety, I had them draw up a very simple agreement to what we were doing. And, 2 days later, he sent me something. I signed it. He signed it, sent it back, and we're on. Now, I was totally 100% wrong, because if I had what I call poor man's integrity, that I would have lived and died by doing the things that the owner wanted, and I would have been broke as shit. It was an opportunity. I was commissioned salesman. I didn't have to go to the office, so I sit up there and I start selling that stuff. I was selling something every 2 or 3 days. It was to the point, and the deal was that I received a check from the company, or if the people paid in cash, Nancy would break me my commission off right there. But all funds would go straight to the company, or if someone paid with a check, that the check would be made in the company's name. I was cool with that because, we were partners. That whole move changed my life because it gave me some serious capital to do more things. And I moved on and started my own company from that because it was an opportunity. And many people would have walked away from it and just, it's a little messy. Nah. I had to really worship at the church of me, because I had like a really good year before, but it was sucking wind, and it's like, I got to do something. And it was a starting point for me getting in the resale business, because that's how I got into the resale business, because I was selling that stuff to customers that I had met who couldn't afford our stuff, and I had a book of business. So like I said, I was selling stuff. Now understand, to give you the perspective of the scope here, we're talking about 30,000 square feet of office furniture. It was a big facility. And like I said, it was just when I went from ashy to classy very quickly. But many people would have passed that up. But that's how my true hustler mindset was activated. And you got to really think about it, because technically I got a 1099 from that company that I was employed by, because I was a 100% commission salesman. So essentially I started my own business and moved forward and have not looked back since. This is a pivotal question, and I receive it all the time. Can you learn the hustle? Go back to the story I just told you. Yes, you can. The real question is it important to you? Another question is, what type of social engineering garbage that you must regurgitate to let your inner hustler free? I'll give you another deal with hustling that we live in a society. There's this big thing that's going on because of the the obliteration of gender roles. Everyone's the same. I will say this, and it's going to be very controversial. Men and women are not equal. I'm going to say it one more time. Men and women are not equal. Down to the hormonal levels and the size of the brain. I inserted that pause to let you fill in the space, because I said men and women are not equal. I didn't really say anything about one being better than the other, because really the way things work, they really complement each other quite well. But due to this equality notion, you've got a lot of crazy stuff that's going on. And where I'm going with this is, if a woman is dressed to kill, got her, I'm gonna do it, Dave Chappelle, got titties all up to her, popping out a turtleneck, and you look, somehow you're wrong. This woman who spent 2 to 3 hours to get ready for people to look at her, then you look at it and then she's looking down her nose because you were giving her the attention that she expected to get, but because of these weird social, crazy, I don't give a fuck rules, because if you look like that, I will look at you and I even say something, damn, you look awesome today. That dress is wearing you, baby. And you know what? When I do that in public and tell women stuff like that, the outcome is usually really good. I'm like, whoa, you're awesome. You look, damn, you're beautiful. I did that to a chick in the grocery store. The words just hopped out my mouth. I had a new friend for about 5 minutes. We're walking. I don't know where her car was, but she's like walking through and just, because I don't give a fuck. You have to decide what is your code of ethics. And mine include, I don't kill people. I don't lie to people to get their money. I don't trick people. I don't manipulate people. But it's just there's certain things I don't deal with, because I'm a caveman. But more importantly, you have to regurgitate some of this stuff to let your true hustler out. With hustling, there's a price. There's an opportunity cost to everything that we do. Many people don't want to pay that price. They kind of want to cheat, or they want a discount code, or they want maybe to win the lottery or get a freebie or some bullshit like that. You're wasting your time. It's a true opportunity cost, and I can tell you from experience, it's worth the money, the emotion, the resources, the time. Because when you become a truly actuated hustler, if you go back to my video in the Hustler Mindset playlist on YouTube, money's everywhere. You start to see opportunities that have been in front of your face for years when you activate your hustler mindset. There's so many ways to make money in today's world. The opportunities are, I can't count that high. I cannot fully implement all the ideals I have in my head because I know how to run a business, and I know being scattered and doing this, then doing that, then doing this, you are diffused and your power is not as effective as it could be if you're focused and on purpose and have intent. But there is a price to hustling. Some of the prices are your friends may think you're nuts. Parents may say stuff like, so when are you going to get a real job? So what if you're driving a BMW and you have a great house, but you don't have a real job? And good people have real jobs. Some of you've heard bullshit like that you're living a life, you're taking care of yourself, you're not a burden on society, but because you don't follow the narrative that was given to you since you were a child, somehow you're wrong. My mother love her to death. I told my mom, I said, hey, Mom, I got my own business. I'm an entrepreneur. This is what this lovely woman said to me on the phone. So what you're telling me is you still don't have a job. It took her years to wrap her head around that. Years. I was just like, and this is what I did. I compartmentalized my relationship with my mother. I learned to not tell her stuff because she's my mother and she can put in that one negative comment and fuck up my week. So I didn't tell her stuff. Parents, if your children have dreams and you piss on them and tell them that it's love, but they go, that's piss, they're going to stop talking to you about certain things and you're going to miss out. Just letting you know. Now, I can tell my mother anything now and she gets it, but it took some years. Those narratives in society will fuck up your success because you're operating on some false beliefs that if you do the right thing, good things are going to happen to you. If you go back to that movie, and I love this movie, The Confession with Ben Kingsley, the right thing is easy to do when you know what the right thing is. The hard part is, what is the right thing? And as long as you're floating in the wind on what is the right thing, you don't do shit, which exacerbates the problem. So doing the right thing, being a good person, all that stuff, it can get you massacred because you must go back to purpose and intent. If you're truly a nice person, you're nice to everyone. You're just not nice. You're not nice in certain situations. You're perpetually nice. And I know people like that, and they have a good life because they have a good heart. But there are some people who are what I call situationally nice, like nice guys. I'm an asshole. I'll say it. I will tell a chick, I want to fuck you. First date. I've done it many times. And you know what? There's some that's like, Glendon, it's a no. Okay. And most of them may not happen that night, but sooner or later it does because they know my intent. I'm not trying to be your fucking buddy. I'm not trying to be your girlfriend with a dick. I'm trying to fuck you because I think you're hot. And when I developed the courage to have that kind of emotional honesty with women, I stopped having a lot of problems with women. It's like I can sit back and watch other guys operate and laugh my ass off because I can see the flames in their ass just before their descent back to earth with their feelings hurt. It's a cost. It took me a while to learn how to be that honest because, the first time I did it, it came out wrong. The second time, it was still wrong. But I kept at it because it worked for me. But when you put on the facade that you're nice and really you just want some pussy, you're going to be one frustrated dude because you're lying to yourself. And women are more intuitive. They may not know exactly what you're lying about, but they know you're lying. And on that point, if you develop yourself as a man, you'll be just as intuitive as women or even more. Because it's not a gender-neutral talent. It's an emotional aperture that once you open it, you can feel what people are thinking. You can read people like you're reading a book in large print. And it fucks people up because they're like, how the hell did you know that? Why the fuck are you reading? You're making me feel weird because you're telling me shit about myself I've never told anyone before. And I'm scared, but I'm really intrigued and my bra's about to come off. It's a journey. If you work on the problems on the inside first, a lot of your external problems will dissipate. But most people do the converse. They work on the outside problem and ignore the inside problem and wonder why shit never changes. All of your problems, all of your angst, everything is on the inside. Work from the inside out, not the outside in. And that's also how you set a table for you uncouth motherfuckers. Can you build a business on hustle? I did. One of the things about hustle in the word, it has a negative connotation. And I almost waffled on not naming this podcast The American Hustler. I was going to come up with something more germane, something a little... And I said, fuck it. You're an American hustler. That's what you've done. Own that shit. Be that person. Put it out there. And if they don't like it, pull out your dick and piss in their face. Skeet, skeet. I'm the motherfucking American hustler and you have piss on your nose. But yeah, I got to go because you look mad. I told you this podcast is going to be wild. This is not going to be, it's going to be very different from a lot of things that I've done before. So you will hear some shit that you've never heard me say before. But that's how I feel. And one of the things about having your own economy, that's another video in that playlist, you get to be yourself. I like the word fuck. Fuck is a good friend of mine. The F and fuck is for friend for me. I like it. You know, and I said like, fuck. Oh, fuck. No, the fuck you didn't. Oh, fuck you. I like that. And I get to do it because this is my podcast. I have my own business. And I don't have to worry about going to work on Monday morning and someone's, well, hey, Glendon, you know, I heard you were doing your podcast and you said fuck. And we don't really like that type of language around here. So I'm going to write you up. And if you do it again on your podcast in your own personal time, we will have to address that with some type of punitive action because here at, we don't go for that blankety blank. See, I didn't even say it because that's the kind of Christian organization we are. You really need to get a handle on yourself. Now, bring yourself into my office so I can write you up. There are people who can't be themselves because they work for a Calvinistic organization that has extended its influence into their personal lives. To me, that is fucked up, and I'm not going for it. I never went for it, and that's one of the reasons I got out of the military. I didn't have the personality to do 20 years. I may have ended up in Leavenworth or something. And it wasn't like I was walking around doing crazy stuff, but it was just not for me. So today, if you want to be a hustler, you have to be honest with yourself and also learn to love yourself. I am a staunch opportunist. You call some people that. You call me a staunch opportunist. Why are you trying to hurt my feelings? I'm just a person. I'm a person. What? It's the reality. I'm a staunch opportunist. If I see opportunity, I'm on it. I'm not going to lie to you for it. I'm not going to trick you. I'm not going to deceive you. But like that watch deal, I'm all over it. Like a dog on the bone. Urgh. You must claim your inner staunch opportunist. It's in there. It may come out in relationships. It may come out at church. But it's in there because I've seen this operate on so many different levels. Now, the deal is with being a hustler, can you stand the pain? Because the thing is, I went through a 3-year rocky-ass transformation on the hustler mindset. I had to regurgitate a lot of those good conservative Alabama values. I'm going to tell you how fucked up I was. And Miss Bain, I know she's in heaven. Miss Bain is in heaven. Bless you. She had me so instilled that the first time I looked at a chick and got a woody, I felt sinful. I felt unclean. And it's just a natural ass response. I had some issues with that. And I was just like, and this chick that it happened with, She was so sweet. She says, okay, that's what's supposed to happen. Let me take care of that for you. I was in the military at the time. And I do believe as you walk in life and you're honest about yourself, you'll meet people who will help you with your journey. Because she was really instrumental in helping me deal with all of that repression. I said conservative Alabama values. You can insert repression also in there. And, we used to talk about it, and she'd come by my room, and she'd sit up, she recommended books. She was an angel that was inserted in my life because I had the honesty to tell her how I was feeling. Because it wasn't like, this is what grew up. And she said, oh, no. She was not judgmental. And that's one of the things I really like California girls, because she was from Cali. She was laid back. She was cool as shit. And she helped me transition from that repression to openness. And I'll never forget her. So you got to understand, you have to be honest with yourself. You can tell me anything. You can tell your girlfriend anything. You can tell your husband, your wife. But you know you. And the minute that you are honest with yourself and you can love yourself, flaws and all, then you can improve. Because as long as there's no problem and then you feel entitled and it's everyone's problem, shit will never change. Now, this is another thing about hustling. Anything that happens in the world is a plan on someone's part other than catastrophe, random car wreck. But situational transactions, and women are really good at this. This is how stupid dudes are. You think that chick that you ran into and you saw on aisle 4 and you saw her in aisle 5 and you saw her in aisle 6 and you saw her in aisle 7. You think that was random? She was hoping you would say something, dumbass. It didn't just happen. You got to pick up on that shit, because I look at selling products and dating is the same thing, because essentially I am presenting myself and selling stuff. And a lot of the dynamics work. Like if you are a dude and you're good with women, or you're another dude and you're good with other dudes, you'll be good as a salesperson because you have the fundamental understanding of people and relationships. Because all sales are emotional. On some level, they're moving towards something with that sale. They're moving from something. There's an emotional component to that sale. And if you don't understand that, you're going to miss out. But shit just doesn't happen in a vacuum. It doesn't happen. It's a plan on someone's part. And as a hustler, it can be a plan on your part. By having goals, and this thing, going back to relationships, you go to college, you have a curriculum, you have certain, there are steps of graduation. You matriculate through college, you get a job, and you're in level 1, and there's a defined path for you to get to 2 to 3 to 4. But for some reason, people think relationships are just supposed to happen. Like a rabbit's supposed to come in and it's like, bam, you have a great relationship. Great relationships take work, time, and effort. And that's something people are running from. Kind of like running from success, running from responsibility. I said it before in a video, and success is a jealous bitch. Success doesn't want shacking up or, booty call. No, success wants the real deal. So just remember that when you're contemplating being a hustler, just remember that. There's a cost, but it's worth it. It is totally, totally worth it. So I'm going to do this. I want to leave you with this. Take a sheet of paper and write down, am I a hustler? Can I become a hustler? And start asking yourself some questions. Is it worth it to you? Because by learning how to be a hustler, and what's that definition? A person that spots opportunity and exploits it for personal gain. New opportunities will start popping up all over your life in ways that you can't imagine, because you took the simple time and effort to go inside and figure out what the fuck's going on. Because once you get the inside going, dude, do that. Once you get that inside thing straight, the world will start to bend to your needs, wishes, and desires. I live that shit. The way that I'm living right now was a goal. People don't understand. It's like, well, Glendon was in the storage auction business and he was making all that money. You know, if it was me, I inserted that pause. If it was me. That is one of the most arrogant, egotistical statements in the English language. If it was me. You're completely and utterly disregarding that person's intent, desires, and wishes and superimposing your shit on them to make it easier for your dumb ass to understand it. Many people don't understand me. Many people can't get it. And I will put it to you like this. When you've had a lot of pussy, it's really easy to turn down pussy. Because you've been there. You know, no, I'm not really connected to her on that level, so I'm not going to do it. Whereas if you are dry dick Danny and the lotion man knows your first name, you can't conceive it. Because you are so itching to get in some pussy that you can't even fathom turning some down because you're not getting any. I'm going to tell you something else. And this is just my opinion, but I think 20% of the cats on the planet are fucking 80% of the women. Based on shit I know and seen and done. That's because of all these false narratives, all this crazy stuff. But it's about perspective, context. I don't say if it were me. I pull that shit out of my vocabulary because it's not me. It's that person. It's their life. Everyone isn't driven and ruled by the same desires. Everyone doesn't have the same master. I know many people who don't give two shits about money. They want freedom. And that's why I do what I do. I have freedom. No, I don't make as much money as I did in the storage auction business yet. Because I'm building the business. It's going to be 4 years old. It's starting to grow up. It's walking. It ain't pooping in the diapers no more. And I'm patient with that because I've gone through the process. And I can tell you this with full authenticity. If you start a business that's in a good field, that has room for growth, and it's competitive, and you have a marketable service, I'm not just going to say start a business, work hard. No, there's other variables that are part of that. But if you start a business that society wants those services or products, and you learn from your mistakes, and you keep hitting it, you ultimately will be successful. I can promise you that. But if you just start some shit, then stop the minute it gets difficult, you're never going to grow. You're just not. It's consistency. It's the most important part of being a hustler. Because with consistency, and you take and build upon those previous experiences, you gain new experiences. Your experience encyclopedia gets large. You can go back and like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. And oh yes, because I watch a lot of YouTube videos and I see people and I'm like, oh, you're doing this wrong. And I used to be the dude to private message people. Then this is before the first book. And this was before the second book. And I would do this stuff. And people like, well, you're just trying to sell me something. And I'm giving them what I thought was good advice. I didn't ask for anything. But that was their perspective on my help. Do a 180-degree turn. I become successful. A lot of people like my books. Now I don't give out information. I'm an asshole. Tell you a little story. I have a lot of stories. A person that ridiculed my YouTube activity because I was going hard. Because one of the things I've learned is, and you immerse yourself in some stuff, you're going to find out so many things really quick if you just pound it. And it was like, ha, ha, ha. This person stalked me on Facebook. I changed my number, so a lot of people don't have my new number. And finally got me. It's like, I've been trying to get with you and this and that, and leaving messages and all this. I hadn't talked to this person in 8 months. And she made me an offer I couldn't refuse. It's like, I'll cook dinner for you. And I'll make dessert if you help me with YouTube. Bet. But my mistress, now that's my baby. My baby, which is my business, said, you can't go. We got something we got to do. So I had to cancel. She was upset. She was miffed. How dare I cancel? Well, I gave her another opportunity. Then she downgraded the offer. Well, let's meet at Starbucks. No, we're not meeting at Starbucks. I accepted one offer. I refused to downgrade the offer. That's called respecting my time. I wasn't going to go to Starbucks. To me, if Starbucks works for you, that's fine. To me, it's one of the most uncomfortable places in the world, and I don't really see how a lot of people get work done there. But that's me. And, she was a little salty about that. And it's just funny how when you are convicted, convinced, and on point with what you believe in, how frequently dissenters, doubters, people that talked about you behind your back, all of a sudden need your help. That is the beauty of being a hustler that is fully accentuated and your hustling aperture is wide open. So, just something for you to chew on. So if you like this podcast, go ahead and subscribe. You can get it here, iTunes, YouTube, and it'll be on the blog. And if you want some more hustler mindset talks, check out my playlist on YouTube, The Hustler Mindset. There's about 40 videos in there now. And there's just different kind of stuff. And I'm telling you from the bottom of my red blood beating little heart that if you devote 6 months to improving yourself through personal development, you can achieve more in a matter of months or a year than you have in the last 10 because you're on point and you have purpose. So remember the exercise, sheet of paper. Am I a hustler? Can I be a hustler? And explore your inner world. All right, this is Glendon. I'm out of here, and I will see you on the good side. Hey, this is Glendon Cameron with the American Hustler Podcast. This one's a little different. This one might blow your mind. But before that, we need to pay some bills, baby. Right below, first link, Killer Hustler offer, you get not 1, but 2 months of the Hustler Mindset with that offer. Check it out. It's the best thing I've ever done. And with that, let's get into it. I've taken note over the last 6 months. The economy has become better. Housing is firming up. People are buying houses. The mortgage rate, which is still at an all-time almost historical low, is still under 6%. I remember when it was like, 6% will be the lowest. It's 4%. Some people have locked in at 2.9%. Mortgage money is still cheap. However, the problem is that many people cannot qualify for a mortgage because they don't have a job with enough income. And that's where we get into the very interesting economy that we have. And it's not just the national economy, it's the global economy. If you don't have the skills or you're not in the right field, things could be very, very tough for you. Which brings us to the state of hustling and the exploding population. I have been on YouTube since 2009. When I came onto YouTube, there was maybe 30, I may say 60 guys really talking about hustling, reselling, storage auctions. I mean, it was really like, it blew my mind that the field wasn't just wide open. It was almost non-existent. I mean, 60 people on a platform like YouTube? That is like the dimples on a thimble. That's how big that is. That's like inside the dimple of a thimble. It is microscopic, maybe even subatomic. That's how small it was. And that was one of the reasons that I was able to do so well, because no one was really talking about it. Now, let's jump to 2013. Every day, there's a new picker. It used to be, because this is the thing, 2010, 2011, 2012, every day there was like a new storage auction guy. But the thing is, storage auctions are extremely hard, time intensive, capital intensive. They take a lot of work. Now the thing is picking. Now the thing is Craigslist hustling. Now the thing is flipping this, flipping that. It has literally exploded. 2009, and really, let's talk August 2009. Let's give it the proper context. Almost 2010. I mean, seriously, 3 years. It has exploded. And the economy has markedly improved. Yet it's still exploding. Why is that? What's really going on? Because the conventional wisdom would think if people have jobs or the ability to get jobs, they wouldn't hustle. But the thing is, I believe, just from my hustling little heart, that people are awake. They're not waking up, they are awake. And they realize that things have changed. They realize even if their job is secure right now, that may not be the truth 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now. So people are hustling because they realize they have to. I have a lot of members of the Hustler Mindset Project who are not poor, who are not really interested in storage auctions, but they're really interested in preserving their way of life and also increasing it. Because what's going on, this disruptive economy, this new shift into how jobs, products, seriously, we're going to see some fundamental shifts in the way that work is performed. There's this paper, I believe the guy's name is Andrew McAfee. He's an MIT professor. He and his partner, who I think is Swedish or German, something like that, wrote a paper about the future of work. And depending upon where your mindset is, it's very exciting or it's very damning. It's a dark, dark future because the new economy will favor people that like to do some things that many people don't like to do. Read, research, learn some more, study, stop watching television, read, learn some more, go to work, try some stuff, be bold, have courage. You will have to do so many things that you're not doing now just to stay even in 10 to 15 years. It could be scary. I am of the side where I'm excited. I'm extremely, extremely excited about the future. I am just blown away at the tools, technology, and the things that are coming compared to the things that are already here. Because understand, everything that you do in terms of online commerce, it's going to get better. It's hustling. You will have more hustling tools in the next 3 years. I can't even predict what you will have that will enable you to make money, because right now there's somebody up at this hour. They've been up 12 hours. They're working on some software. They're working on a program. They're working on something that in a few years is going to enable you to make more money if you are in the pool now. This is one of the reasons I created the Disruptive Ninja channel. This channel will remain, hustling, Craigslist stories, storage auction stories, rants, whatever. But the Disruptive Hustler channel, I'm going to talk about disruptive technology, new things that come off. Whereas this, we're going to hustle. We're going to talk about hustling because hustling saved my life. There was a time when if it wasn't for hustling, I would have been really, really poor. And I'm talking, the whites of West Virginia County poor, scary poor, because hustling enabled me when I had a week that I was just like, oh my God, how's this week going to end? Because that's how hustling goes. It started off the week, and this was years and years and years ago, and I had only made $150, but I kept hustling. I kept doing stuff. I kept moving. That Friday, I had $1,000. I couldn't do that with a regular job because with a regular job, regardless of how hard you work, you are only going to make per hour what you agreed upon when you took the job. That does not change. You might get a performance bonus, or if you're in sales, you might get a spiff if they still do those things. But only through hustling do you have the ability to increase your income from day to day. The other side of that is you can make absolutely nothing because there are no guarantees. But guess what? Having a job is just as risky as hustling. As I said earlier in this podcast, there are people who are getting it. They're awake, their eyes are wide open, and they can't sleep at night because they know what's coming. But there's another group, they're still drinking the sipperb with a little Kool-Aid flavor, and they're going, well, I have a job, and, jobs are what respectable people do. And that's another part of hustling that's a problem, the negative connotations. Because when I created, or I should say rebranded this channel from the Storage Auction channel to the American Hustler, people's like, hustling, it has such a negative connotation. Hustling saved my life. Hustling is my best friend. Hustling is the reason that I'm able to talk to you today, because if it wasn't for hustling, I may have just been miserably bad off. I know I wouldn't be talking to you if it wasn't for hustling. I know the opportunities that were presented to me came from hustling. So there is no negative connotation to hustling for me. I own up to it. I'm a hustler. I'm a staunch opportunist. I go out and I seek things I can exploit for profit. That's what I do. There's no shame in that. And I'll tell you right now, this channel, Glendon 007, was created exclusively for me to market my products. That's the only reason it existed. It evolved into many other things. I met some cool people, and it did really, really well compared to other channels in the resale space or even the personal development space, which I'm entering into. So I am pleased and proud to be a hustler. Love it, love it, love it. So that negative connotation is something that makes a few people slip, and they just can't do it because I didn't want to be a hustler. And I put this to you. So you want to be an unemployed person that looks good? I'm sorry, unemployment or low pay is extremely unattractive to me. I'm sorry, that's just me. I would not want to have a prestigious job title, yet chump change salary. And that's what's going on. People have these prestigious job titles that sound really good. Oh, you're the director of internet marketing, but you make $35,000 a year. You are the dean of Wisnots and you make $25,000. These fancy titles, that doesn't pay the bills. On my title is founder of Conundrum Publishing, and it's just writer. But I own the bitch. So, it's a pretty simple title, and it's pretty much going to say simple. It may go to Chief Creative Officer. I like that because that's what I do, and that's the big shift with the other writing and fiction and stuff. But understand, do not get it twisted that hustling is a bad thing. Jump your ass into the pool. I'm serious. Jump your ass into the pool now, because right now the water's cold. And you're like, I don't want to jump in the cold water. I don't want to acclimate. Well, when the water is hot, it's because there's going to be so many hot, sweaty bodies in the pool. Yeah, when the water's warm and hot and it goes from cool to tepid and from tepid to boiling, that's not going to be when you want to get in the pool. You're going to want to be in the pool where you staked out some clean water, because it's going to be like the lemmings going over the cliff. They're just, it's just going to be a massive jump. And the thing is, what I've observed with human nature is it won't be a slow march into the pool. It's just going to be one day people are going to freak out and realize, hey, I need to be hustling. Splash. That's what's going to happen. Because a lot of people wait until the last minute and they're just going to jump in the pool. Whereas if you're already in the pool, the deep end from the shallow end, you've got the topography of the pool mapped out, and you have some intimate knowledge of the pool. You know what's going on, versus this rookie who's doing the cannonball off of the high platform into the shallow section. It makes a difference. One of my mentors said, one of the biggest things in life is timing. And it's very true. Because when I created this channel, Glendon 007, for those of you who are listening on iTunes, it's a YouTube channel. I had a 14-month head start on the TV shows. Didn't know they were coming. Got some readings, or it came on my radar about month 8 that I was in the business, and I started getting all these calls from production companies and stuff. But understand, you want to get in the pool. You want to beat the herd. You want to start hustling on some level today. Don't care if you have a job. Don't care if you're fat, happy, fancy, and just living life. You need to start hustling now. Let me scare you for a minute. I've talked to a lot of people, and there's this thing that's going on. A lot of people are either A, can't get a raise, big problem there, or B, they're losing their jobs and cannot replace their previous income. Even a larger problem. And this is happening for 2 reasons. The first reason is technology. If your job can be replaced by an algorithm, at some point it will. It's a matter of time. It's not an if, it's a when. It's happening. So I want you to think, and this is another reason you need to be in the hustling pool, because once you get in the hustling pool and start thinking like a hustler, a business owner, how you view certain situations is going to change. Because when you view life through the prism of an employee, your view is so distorted because there's so many things you don't know to shape your perspective. But when you view life through the prism as a boss, like a boss, oh, it's totally different. When you see things like, hey, this company in this company in Topeka, Kansas, they said they're going to lay off 500 people and they're going to move their operations to China. As an employee, you're incensed. You're pissed off. You're like, they're taking those American jobs. How dare they, bastards? As a business owner, you're saying, we're about to raise our margins and reduce our cost. I know it's very clinical, it's very cold, but it's reality. This trend started with NAFTA and some other things. It is not going to completely reverse itself. However, once again, if you're in the hustling pool, you know this. There's a return to quality in the United States of America. People want quality items. I know it's kind of strange, but some manufacturing is coming back to the United States. Why? Because these other countries are experiencing an improved lifestyle. They're going up to middle class. And with that, hey, I know I'm Chinese, and I know 5 years ago my ass was in that rice paddy, but you know what? Yeah, that $2 a day you're paying me, we need to crank that up to 4, baby, or we're going to hold your ass hostage. Essentially, around the world, the people, or as they go through these emerging economies, they want more money. They got a taste of that life. They got a taste of going to work, coming home, and being able to do what they want. And they're like, I like this. I'm not going back to the rice paddy. No, Shanshay. No. I'm not, no. I not go back to rice paddy. No, it's a wrap. They're like, I'm here. I like this industrialized thing, and we're going to keep it moving. And part of keeping it moving is you need to pay me more money. So it is not as cheap as it used to be to go to these countries, because India right now just out hustled China on a few things. Because this is not that one company. I did the video where the American executive was being held hostage by his own employees. And understand, there was way more to the story than what was presented. But the deal is, he left China to go to India. And then when India, which comes up, because there's certain parts of India that are totally, you couldn't tell you were not in America. When you go to certain places, certain complexes, it's just that westernized. And it's just going to grow. And, they have some issues with power grids, but all that's going to even out. They're going to get it together. So as all of these economies grow and all of these people get a taste of that life, oh, that's so good. I like how that tastes. There's no going back. So manufacturing is coming back to the United States in some quarters. And I'm excited because those are entrepreneurs. There are people who are saying, hey, the cost of going to China is not that cost savings it used to be. So I'm going to keep it here, which is a good thing for some people. But once again, if you're in the hustling pool, instead of being the person working at that factory, you might be the person who created that factory. That's the reorientation of the hustler, or as the young people like to say, thinking like a boss. Because if you think like a boss and act like a boss, you will get boss money, and more importantly, you'll have boss freedom. You have boss options. You call the shots. That is the most important thing to most people, the ability to call the shots. That's why you have people who get beat up on the job, go home and act like Hitler over their spouses and children because they don't have any power on the job. So when they get home, they walk through that door, and then it's just that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde metamorphosis, and they grow 8 feet tall and fangs come out, and they're like, go clean up your room. Because they don't have any power at work. They don't have that option to do what the fuck they want to do. So they come home and freaking lose it. So thinking like a boss, you will be able to control your future, truly control your destiny, and own your destiny. That is the deal of getting in the pool. Now, that's what's about hustling. So here's a few tips to help you avoid the pack in the herd. Number 1, you need to get started. Let's talk about that. So many people, I'm waiting on Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, to give me the inspiration. I'm waiting on the muse. I'm waiting on this. I'm waiting on that. Well, keep your janky ass waiting, and one day there will be no more sand in the hourglass. because you waited and it ran out. True people, true hustlers, people who think like a boss don't fucking wait. They create. They create the opportunity. You create the opportunity. You don't wait for the opportunity. You position yourself to take advantage of something that may come along the pipeline, but that's because you're outside active on the streets of hustling. You're not inside like peeking through the blind like, is there some hustling opportunities? Nah, no, you have to be out there. You have to be making moves. You have to be part of the hustling landscape. So, number one, get fucking started. Number two, I don't know what I want to do, Clinton. I don't know what I want to do. I want to try this. Okay, you can't fucking have your cake and eat it too. I.e., you can't do everything. You can't be all things to all people. Pick some shit and get started and stay started. Okay, but what if it doesn't work out? Big fucking whoop-de-doo if it doesn't work out. This is what's going to happen if it doesn't work out. You will learn something. The sooner that you get started, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, even better, you will learn something. My first 5 businesses were gobble turkeys. I did them when I had a job. I was in the military for most of them. So, yeah, when they went bad, I still got paid because I had something else. But that's hustling. That's what I'm telling you to get started now. Why you have a job? Why you have income? That's why you get started. I know so many people that were hustling part-time, and then either their job disappeared or they got into some type of conflict with their boss, and they were able to leave a job and go to full-time hustling. And some of them, it wasn't pretty because they didn't make as much money initially, but once they got their clank hustle bones clanking, things started clicking, they started blowing up. Because most of them who really focused on their business have exceeded their job income. Let me say that again for the people who cannot believe or for the people whose ears are full of wax. Many of these people have exceeded their previous job income because they had something to transition to because they got started when times were still good. When you get started and your back's against the wall, you can perform, but it's a scary proposition. So get started, pick something, stay with it, and fail if it happens. Don't lose your mind. Don't turn into a scared little bitch like I failed. I'm going to tell you some stuff, and this is going to be very harsh, and I don't give a fuck. I'm a writer, and writers are some of the most sensitive people in the world. And I don't know if you have to be a writer. I'm still evolving. But when I hear that I wrote a book and it didn't sell, and therefore I'm going to stop writing, that's one of the most punk bitches assest things I've ever heard in my life. I started writing in 1997. And there was a big 8-year chunk where I didn't write as much because I was in the storage auction business and it demanded a lot of time. But I still wrote, here and there. I didn't give up. I didn't stop. And then, my first book did well. I had other books that came after it that didn't do as well as the first one. Did I go, well, these books aren't doing as well as the first one, so I'm about to get this shit up? No, it's like, okay, obviously this subject matter is not as enticing as the subject matter of the first book. I have some books under my pen name. 2 didn't do shit. They were just like, the society were like, wow. We're not wild, man. No, that's not doing it for us. All right, I need to write better books, That's what it is. There's none of this, because it didn't work out. It just didn't work out. I'm going to stop. I'm going to give up. I'm going to cry in my milk. Bitch, grow the fuck up. If you have to pull on your nuts or tweak your nipples until the reality gets into you that failure is not a bad thing. It is just part of life. When you were a little kid, after you came out the womb, you couldn't do shit except lay around and go, wah, and look cute. That's all you could do. Then one day, you started moving. You rolled over, and everybody's like, oh, hell. When we put them down, they're not going to stay where we put them down because he can roll. A little fucker can roll. Then you got up on your hands and knees. You start pulling up on shit. But you fell down. Then you start pulling up on shit some more and you fell down. Then you started like walking, then you fell down. And you walked some more and you fell down. You were failing. Each time you tried to get up and you couldn't hold yourself up, you failed. But since you were a kid and it was all a big, wonderful world, and you saw those cookies on the counter and you said, one day in your little kid mind, I'm going to get those cookies. And for months, you were going, dun-dun, dun-dun. You went from crawling, you went from walking, then you started walking. Then you realized that if you used a stool, that you could climb higher. Then your mother turned her back and she didn't know that you were real fast now because your motor skills were more developed and you were coordinated. So you grabbed a little stool, you got up there, and she turned around and you were sitting at the kitchen table eating that cookie with a big old smile on your face. And she was like, she didn't know whether to be shocked or pleased because now she was worried. She's like, oh, hell, I can't turn my back on this one anymore. You failed, but because you wanted those cookies, you kept going for months and months and months till you got the cookies. That's life. It's failing. It's falling down. It's getting back up. It's falling down. It's getting back up. It's walking. It's running. It's slowing down. It's limping. But the whole thing is, as long as you have forward progression, eventually you will get to the place that you want to go. You will get to those cookies. You will get to the cookies. So you got to make a decision. This whole notion of, and I'll give you some advice. Like if you have like 20 different things you want to do 3 at the same time. One will emerge as a clear winner. One will be like that dark horse that won the Kentucky Derby because you like, I didn't know it had that kind of potential. Because one of the things is you don't know what kind of potential you have because you have not popped the lid. Your potential has been locked up in you. You've been denying yourself. You've been listening to other people forever. And you have no clue to what your potential is because you ain't doing shit. Once you start doing shit, start putting things into effect, start learning and making moves, you will start to figure out what your potential is. It may blow you. Some of you are going to become multimillionaires. A few of you are going to become billionaires because of the potential that is locked inside of you that you're not doing shit with because you're a scared little bitch. So you may essentially be sitting on billions of dollars of potential, but because you're a scared little bitch, you will not ever see that money. Then there's going to be somebody who doesn't have $1 billion potential, doesn't have it, but they have tenacity, they have determination, and they have a I don't give a fuck attitude. I'm going to get my success, and you're going to be sitting there driving past his big ass house or mansion and hating because it's like, how did Harry Dumbfuck get to live like that? I'm smarter than him. I have more potential than he does. What the fuck? Well, see, Harry Dumbass took action where your highly potential loaded ass just coasted. I see it every day. I'll be the first to submit to you, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I am not the smartest guy on the planet. But I know that by working hard and having tenacity and strategy and a plan and keep pushing forward, you can get places that may even surprise you. I've surprised myself several times, and hopefully I will surprise myself. No, not hopefully. I will surprise myself again and again in the future because you have to keep pushing. This whole notion of that success is a easy walk with no bumps and bruises is some bullshit. Success may bitch slap you 8 times before it kisses you. That's just the reality. And a lot of people don't want to go through those bitch slaps. But sometimes, when I was a kid, there was this commercial with this little owl. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a lollipop? And, the little owl like chomped it, but it could be 1, it could be 30, it just depends. If you are like the owl and just bite that bitch, it takes 1 lick to get to the center of lollipop. So are you licking your potential? Are you chomping it? Are you pushing it? Are you really, really being real with yourself? Because understand, the pool is not as crowded as it's going to be. There's a lot of bodies in there. There's people backstroking, people like gurgling the water. There's even a little nasty kid going in the bathroom over there in the pool, but we're not going to talk about him. But the deal is, the pool has a lot of space right now. So either you could jump in now or you could jump in later. But mark these words, sooner or later, your ass will be jumping in out of necessity, or you will wise the fuck up. Because understand, it's 2013. 2016, you will, like, if you come across this podcast or you come across it on YouTube in 2016, you're going to be, that dude was right. Because I'm telling you, I do a lot of reading. I am just blown away at the stuff that's coming. The average person, probably by 2016, will be able to go out and buy some robots, maybe 20,000 a piece, buy 5, and create a manufacturing process in maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 square foot space, and create $1 million or maybe a $5 million manufacturing business with no employees, or maybe 1 or 2. That automation is being pushed down to where the average person, because those big robots you see in automobile plants, those are $1 million devices. There's so much technology that goes into it. But just like your computer in 1997 and your cell phone in 2013, your cell phone has more technology, processing power than your computer did back then. So if you embrace technology and you're looking at it from the right perspective, then you realize that you can turn technology into your bitch versus technology bitch slapping you. See, in this game of disruption and disruptive pimping, it's the truest statement that I've ever said. Either you're going to pimp technology or technology's going to pimp you. There is no middle ground. There's none. There's no, well, I don't really want to participate. That's kind of like women who's like, I don't participate with other women. I'm not competitive with other women. Well, it's not you who are making it competitive. It's the guys that are looking at you. So you may not be actively competing, but yeah, you're in competition with those other women, whether you want to realize it or not. And that's the deal with this new technology thing. You could act like you're not affected or you want to be apart from it, and you are just fooling yourself. So once again, either you're going to pimp technology or technology is going to pimp you. That's pretty much all I have for you today. This is Glendon Cameron with the American Hustler Podcast, and I will see you on the good side. What's going on, people? This is Glendon Cameron with the American Hustler Podcast. This one is a burner and a bender. First, it's going to set your irritation on fire, and some of the concepts that will be laid out will bend your mind. If you saw the title, Internet Sales Tax, Student Loans, National Drivers Database, the State Lottery, and Viagra, you're like, wait a minute, what do all of these things have in common? Well, I'm about to break it down for you like it's never been broken down before. I should tell you something, and if you're new to this podcast, and if you're new, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. But if you're of this sensitive nature, you may want to stay away. That was your warning. Let's get down to it. Internet sales tax is really on everyone's mind that makes money online if you're selling on eBay, Amazon, because it's really some scary, scary shit. Because anytime that you start dealing with taxes, it is always complicated. It is rarely easy. If it's easy on 9 steps, the 10th step's gonna be a motherfucker. It's always like that. I've had to deal with state sales tax in my contract office furniture business, and each county had a different rate. So it was a trip, and it's time consuming. Now, before you get ready to pull out your hair, understand internet sales taxes are coming. Are they going to pass this time? Don't know. It's kind of looking that way, but mark my words, they're coming. Also, with the internet sales tax coming, there will be services, and the big six or whatever the accounting firms are now, they will start to have services to help entrepreneurs deal with that, because it's going to be a bear. And probably expect 5 to 6%, maybe 7% of what you make to go towards servicing the fees for handling the collecting of the taxes. It's a bitch, but expect it to be that high, because it's going to be so much stuff that's going on with it. But this is what you do. I'm an online entrepreneur. I've been making money online since 2000, but I've also kept a strong and steady foot in the physical world. By having some type of physical property business, you open yourself up to more deductions that you just don't get with the internet business unless you got a warehouse and staff and stuff. So you're going to have to create some more deductions, possibly some net losses for yourself, so to take off some of the burden of your overall tax bill, because they're coming for internet marketers. They're coming for internet entrepreneurs, because the beauty of making money online is once you have something, it's a product, a service, or a platform, scaling it up is just a matter of adding more cloud computing. That's scaling it up. Sometimes you need to add more engineers, but Craigslist, which gets billions of views per day, I think has a staff of 30. 30. And there's other companies that are doing, $1 million or $2 million a month with a staff of 2 or 3 or 4 people. That is the beauty of making money online. But now that everybody and their mother, because for many years PayPal didn't rat you out, now everyone that pays you online, if you get money from Google, you're going to get a 1099. You get money from PayPal, you're going to get a 1099. Everybody's turning your ass in. Now, I'm going to tell you the why at the end, but I'm just going to explain to you what's happening and connect the dots for you later. So the internet sales tax thing is coming. Just prepare for it. Do not bitch. Don't whine. Don't say something stupid like, well, they're going to do the internet sales tax, so I'm going to shut my business down. You sound stupid when you say something like that. I don't care about the tax rate. I don't care about who's in office. I am going to get mine. And due to the fact that this is not going to change, the income tax code is developed, written, and supported by business owners and investors. The tax code as we have it today favors business owners and investors. Now, if you're a person with the hustler mindset, your first thought is, how do I become an investor or a business owner? If you are broke dick pokey, then you're like, I don't want to work that hard. I don't want to work that hard. I don't want to start a business. I just want to have me a 9 to 5 to make $100,000 a year, take 2-hour lunches, and no one fucks with me, and I make sure my benefits are always on point. Broke dick pookie. Those days are over. They're gone. So you can get with it, or the big penis in the sky is like, you hear that humming, that it's coming for your ass. You got a choice, people. Start a business, become an investor. Those are your choices. As long as you want to be like, hey, I don't want to do this. And also understand today, starting a business doesn't mean that you have to do 100 hours a week, or there's so many opportunities. There are many of you who have skills, knowledge bases on businesses that would make you the money you want if you would just dig inside the mind of you. Take a shovel, open up your chest, and start digging for the gold that's there. But that requires that W word: work, self-improvement, introspection. I got to do all this stuff. Man, I don't want to work. I just want to be and get paid like I'm working. It doesn't work that way, my friend. It doesn't work that way. Really, it's never really worked that way. Now, let's talk about student loans. Student loans, in my opinion, are the new indentured servitude because a few things that have happened in recent years. You can no longer ever get rid of student loan debt without paying it. They went back and changed the laws. Now let's talk about that. They went back and changed the law to make sure that you cannot get rid of student loan debt. They went back and changed the law. Think about that. So people who were free and clear are no longer free and clear because someone with an actuary degree probably sat in front of a computer and said, well, if we change the law and we move it back here, we're going to put this many more people on the radar that we can collect money from. That's what happened because they changed the law to get people. The law was like some folks were free and clear. They were done. It was over. It was a wrap. Now they're in harm's way. There are elderly people who co-signed on their kids' student loans 2 and 3 decades ago who are having their Social Security garnished. Think about that. They didn't default. They did co-sign, but they're losing a small pittance of already what's a small pittance. Think about how diabolical that is. Now let's talk about this other thing. The National Drivers Database. And they're like, what's that, Glendon? I'm about to tell you. It is this driver's base that was put together to track problematic or dangerous drivers, i.e. DUI drivers. That way, a DUI driver could not go from state to state and get a license because his past would hunt him. Well, this is what happens when government gets in. Instead of DUI, they're like, hey, well, what about all these unpaid traffic tickets? So all the states started, and this just kicked off last year, like November, I think, I didn't look at it, but it's after the summer. This is when this thing kicked off. It's maybe 6-7 months old. All of a sudden, they just start stuffing tickets. If you Google it and see that people are being hunted by seatbelt violations, that's what they got me on from 2007. Stuff from 2000. From like 2 decades and 3 decades ago. Tickets. Now, the thing is, at some point, someone's going to sue because I did the research when I was going through my thing because I got jammed up on a few things. A seatbelt ticket, $15 ticket, which I forgot about, guilty. I had to pay $80 fucking to clear that up, or that was going to hold up my driver's license. A seatbelt violation from 2007 will impact my right to drive. Then there was another thing with the city of Atlanta from 1989. But I paid those and I had proof. So that stuff was adjudicated and my record was cleared. But if I didn't have proof, if I wasn't a pack rat on certain things, I would have had to pay $2,800. Now you ask yourself, like, what is this going on? Student loans, internet sales tax, changing the law to get people, to bring them on the radar when they were off the reservation, this national data driver's base. What is the link? The link is all states and the government are hurting for revenue. They need revenue. This economy that we have is a segmented recovery. There are a lot of people who are doing very well in this new economy. There's a group of people, a big block of people who are sucking wind. So these are the people who are good. Because, when I was going through this stuff, it took me like 5 days to clear this shit up. And because I own my own business and I was able to take off and handle that, I was able to, and I had to put up some money, and then I'm getting some money back, and that's something else. They take your money, and then when this stuff's adjudicated, they're in no hurry to give your money back. You know why? Because they don't have it. When that money goes in there, it's spent already. So they got to wait for some other chumps come in. This is the government Ponzi scheme to get the money so I can get my money back that they never should have had in the first place. We're talking about $1,700 here. Yeah, $1,700. So it's all about money. And and I was going through this and I was just asking myself, what would have happened to me if this thing had happened when I was a scrub, when I was only making like fucking minimum wage? This stuff can bury a person who doesn't make decent money. And it sets you up for a cascading chain of events that get more and more dire the deeper you go into the system. A simple little thing like a seatbelt violation can turn into this big multi-$1,000 thing if you don't have the money and the resources. And the resources is not just money. Time is a huge resource. And the knowledge, because I was calling people and was throwing stuff. Going back to my point about at some point they're going to sue. Most states, a misdemeanor is only 2 years to 4 years. They got to get you within 2 to 4 years. And after that point, it's got to go away. Well, if they're going after people for tickets 2-3 decades ago, that's usually past the statute of limitations. I'm sure at some point someone's going to sue because it's unconstitutional. But the larger point is, everyone that's listening to this, go to, just Google the National Drivers Database. They've got this form. It's free. Write in, send them what they need to see if you're on that list. And also pull up your local, whatever state you're in, pull up your driver's license information. Usually you can go online and do it and see the status of your license, because if you got some stuff that happened in another state and you moved 2 or 3 times and you've changed your license, you may not be aware that your shit's canceled or suspended. It happens all the time because my shit was suspended and I didn't know until I just happened to go in there and say, let me see what's going on with my license. And I was like, what the fuck? It was like, so do that. Check out the National Drivers Database. Make sure, get your record, check it out, make sure you're good to go, because I want you to think about this. You're out there, you're driving, you get pulled over. I'm thinking cops are a lot more sympathetic than they used to be because this thing is crazy. And a lot of times they may not impound your car, but they're not going to let you drive it because your license is suspended. So do that. Go ahead, check it out, and make sure your stuff's straight. Now, let's talk about the state lottery. And everybody's like, yay, the lottery. The lottery is just a tax. It's a voluntary tax, but nevertheless, it is a tax. If you do the research on lotteries, you understand that 50, if not more than 65% of the money that's collected for the lottery does not go back out in payouts. Understand, when the lottery winner, it goes in and they have him sign these forms and he gets either the lump sum or he gets the annuity. Understand, if they take the annuity, that money that came in is somewhere else already earning money. And people are getting bonuses and all kinds of stuff. I don't play the lottery. It's not my thing. I just feel that I'm going to do much better by applying my efforts and talents to building something, producing a product or service. And that's where my fortune's going to come from. Because just that, I would hate to go to the gas station on big lottery nights, because you can't get to the counter if you got to go in. It was just, I used to hate it back in the day. But that's a tax. It's a voluntary tax, but nonetheless, it's a tax. And one of the reasons I'm really harping on this is lottery's a tax. This National Driver Database ticket Ponzi scheme is a tax. Student loans are not necessarily a tax, but they are a form of revenue. The internet sales tax is a way to capture a lot of money that they can't get, because let's just keep it real. Back in the day, you can make a grip of money online and not pay a lick of tax because no one was tracking it. It was like, it's on the internet. It's not real. Then they start seeing people, these kids driving Ferraris and stuff like, yeah, my website's making me 2.8 million a year. And they kept seeing it. And year after year, you kept seeing stories like this. And this guy named Shoe Money showing his 297,000 check from Google AdSense. All of a sudden, somebody's like, those motherfuckers are making money online. We need to figure out a way to tax it. Because the truth of the matter is, you can make money online easier now than it's ever been before. You could take an average person and with the right training, with the right guidance, they could be making 30 to 100K a year online within a year. I didn't stutter. It's true. 30,000 to 100K within a year, starting today. They can do it because those tools are out there. The products are out there and the communities are out there. So all of this is designed to pull money out of your pocket. All of it's designed to pull out money out of your pocket and just right. Now, I threw in Viagra because when I was going on an errand this morning and I heard that, there's a lot of counterfeit Viagra. I didn't know that. And then Pfizer, the manufacturer of Viagra, is now selling Viagra on their website because people are buying all this counterfeit stuff, i.e. we losing money. So if we can't beat them, we might as well join them. And then I heard this number, and correct me if I'm wrong because I don't use Viagra, but they said it's $25 a pill. $25 a pill to bust a nut? Whoa, really? I'm like, you having a good night. Three nuts, that's $75. I'm like, whoa. I guess the P in Pfizer is for pimp. But I don't know. If anybody out there knows what Viagra is going for per pill, because I'm like, that's just like, wow. You having a good month. Like if you're hitting it 10 times a week, that's $250. That's like $1,000 a month if you're like a frisky rabbit. I was like, damn. But I put that in there because these commercials were geared because this was WSGT and I was listening to Herman Cain. Yes, I listened to them. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I'm not a libertarian, but I'm an independent thinker, and I this is where I sit with that. You can't go out and bash Republicans unless you're actually listening to what they're talking about. Because when someone gives me like a bad book review and they never read the book, I think you're an idiot. And that's the same thing. Like, you may not like Republicans, you may not like Democrats, but you have to involve yourself in the conversation to speak intelligently about what's going on. Because if you just like saying, I hate Republicans, I hate Democrats, and you're making these opinions and saying this stuff and posting on the web or having conversations, you're an uninformed fool. Because I will say this, and if I lose people, I lose people. The Republican Party platform has some real good parts to it. Now, when this thing about women and abortions and other stuff, but I seriously believe, and I'm an entrepreneur, I generate my own income, is you kill what you keep what you kill. I don't really believe in this whole socialist notion of that, if you're doing well, then you need to give up more money. If I choose to open up my wallet and give freely to some organization, that's a different thing. But to be beat over the head, that is not cool with me. But once again, going back to what I said earlier in this podcast, the tax code is written, supported, and designed by business owners and investors. I want you to think about this. Do the research. How many millionaires are in Congress? They're not going to write some legislation that's going to take money out their pockets. Self-preservation, self-interest is inherent. Know that. So you can stay poor and get beat over the head and have to listen to that. That's that big penis in the sky looking for your ass. And what it's going to do is come down, swoop you up, grab you by your ankles, and shake even the coin. I mean, they're going to shake the pennies out your pocket. And then they're going to put the nuts up in your pocket and pull out your pockets inside out to see if they missed anything. Because that's what the big penis in the sky is going to do. It's going to take everything you have. I mean, seriously. Some people are going to be so broke they won't even afford to be able to dream. That's how bad this thing is going to be. So you got these choices, and you can keep talking about what's fair and what's not fair. Fair has nothing to do with it. It's about making decisions and involving yourself in the system. Because people are like, I'm trying to get out the system. You cannot beat the system if you don't know the rules of the system. That's how you can cheat. When you know the rules of the system, you can cheat and circumvent. But when you don't know the rules, the big penis is going to get you. So these are the things that you can do to protect yourself. Do not take a woe is me. They're trying to get our money with the internet sales tax. And don't say any stupid shit like that. If you have it in your heart to start an online business, start it. Because Uncle G's got something for you. You start your online business, but you also put something in the physical world. I don't care if it's a piece of property. You want something real, tangible. I don't care if it's an antique car. You have got to take that money that you make online and put it into something physical. Physical or stock. And also, let's talk about taxes. One of the biggest questions I get is how to do taxes for the resale business. I am not going to tell you how I did my taxes because the variables are so stark that by you living in just one state over, what I can do here illegally may be illegal for you. You have to do your own work with the tax thing because one, the tax code changes frequently. And there's not just the federal tax, there's the state tax. And then if you have a corporation, there's stuff with that. There's so many things. And I just can't there is no magic jelly bean cookie cutter response for that. I mean, I could tell you something like mileage is 56 cents now, which is awesome. I have mileage deductions that supersede my car payment right now. And I've only had that thing 3 weeks. So it's awesome. I mean, simple stuff like that, learning, doing, finding what's out there that can benefit you and help you make money. But this whole sticking your head in the sand or bemoaning and getting mad, you have to participate in the system. That's how you can stand apart from the system because you know how it works. If you don't know how it works, you don't know what the rules, and this is my new saying, don't hate the player, don't hate the game, learn the fucking rules so you can win. That's what it's about. Learn the rules. None of this stuff like you cannot be above the system until you know the system. Because that's when the big penis, it will get you. You've climbed up on top of this building and you think you are standing above the system. Then you're doing it and the wind is blowing and your cape is flapping in the wind. And you hear this. Next thing you know, you're falling because the big penis in the sky knocked your ass over. Because you didn't know the rules. You didn't know what was going on. You got to participate. This whole thing, and I'm going to say this, I am an American. And a lot of people go, oh, that's hokey and that's bullshit and I hate America. Fuck you. I love this country because when I changed my freaking mindset, I started to become rewarded in ways that I could not imagine. Look at what happens when the average immigrant comes here. They're making more money than you in 5 to 10 years because they see the system. They're like, wait a minute. I just left this country where I couldn't say the president sucked. And if I did, I may be put in jail or shot. I lived in this country where I couldn't start my own business without the say-so of someone, or I had to suck someone's dick to get permission. I'm here in the United States and I don't have to do none of that shit to start a business. Oh, they get off the plane and they start having orgasms. Because they know what it's like to not have those options. But if you are a Native American, you're just so fucking entitled. You feel that you should have the good life just because you're breathing. Just because you're here. Just because you want it. And they understand. And, a lot of people get mad. This was one of the reasons that I hired my Latino brothers to do a lot of molding because they were hungry. They were diligent. And this is something else that you have to understand about Mexicans. When I would pay my guys, frequently, I'm giving them money, they pull out their wallet, and when they open their wallet, they're full of hundreds. They got money. and they're working hard. Understand this. They have a lot of money on them and they're still working hard to get more. Average American gets money, then the tendency is to relax, to lean back, to sip a little lemonade, to chill out. No, you gotta keep pressing, pushing, making it happen. Now, with all these things that are going on, you've got a choice. You have a serious choice, and the choice to me is beautiful. Participate, help out your community, help out your fellow man, do something to contribute to the system. Because see, this is something else about the system. If you are a instrumental part of the system rewards you. There are many people that want to just do their own thing. And to you, I say, cool, but understand, you start bucking the rules in the wrong way. And this is not a legal thing. This is a spiritual energy thing. Because when you start pulling back or trying to take resources from the system and not give shit back, it comes back to get you. Because if you look at some of the most evil people in history, they were very generous with their time and their money. Because money has to circulate. You have to put money out there. It has to be in motion. Because when money's moving, the faster it's moving, the more that comes into your pocket. This whole thing about just sitting on money, that's a bad idea. That's why people who have extraordinary wealth are always seeking out new opportunities to make the money move. They may move it into some type of philanthropy. They may move it into a new business, or they may find entrepreneurs, but they keep it moving because they understand it has to keep moving. Stagnant money loses value. You understand that? It loses value. So all those folks who have what I call the mental lack, that constricted mindset, I'm not going to put out anything. I'm not going to start a business. I'm not going to put my heart out there to a woman, or I'm not going to put my heart out there to a dude. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to play it safe. Those are some of the most miserable fucking people I know, because you are not going to experience success avoiding failure. It's not going to happen. Because they both live in the same street. And if you had a house, it's just cut the house down the middle. On one side is failure, the other side is success. They're in the same fucking block. So it's trying to like live in half a house, and you can't do that. I would say, with a great deal of honesty, I've learned so much from fucking up. I sometimes fuck up on purpose just to see what's going to happen. I know it sounds crazy. I will launch a new product in a heartbeat. And it's like, okay, we're going to launch this. That didn't work. Okay, fine. Ooh, someone's pissed. Okay, fine. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to go over here and do it this way. I fuck up all the time on purpose. And that's another thing. That's one of the reasons I became really good with dating, because I would just throw shit out there. I was like, I'm just going to say this crazy shit. Oh, that worked. Oh, this worked. Because the more you do, the more experience levels you gain. It's like when you're out there doing stuff, and also if you are introspective and you can do self-analysis and keep up with that stuff, your repertoire of experience gets really broad. And then this is where this term game recognizes game. You'll be able to see certain things as they're happening because you have the experience and the trend levels in your mind to recognize, okay, this is a familiar pattern. Oh, this customer is doing this. Oh, this person's doing this. And then you'll see another thing. So when you see 3 or 4 or 5 things that happen and you see them coming, you know what the 5th thing is and the 6th thing that's coming. I was out with this chick a few years ago, and the conversation was rapidly deteriorating. And I started to do that mocking thing because I knew exactly what she was going to say. And when she would say it, I would say it at the same time. And I was irritating the shit out of her on purpose because at this point I had written her off and I didn't care. And strange thing happened at the end of the day. She's like, how the hell did you know what I was going to say? And I was like, well, what you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear anything else you have to say. And that heifer smiled and everything. It was just funny. She got in the car and drove off. But the deal is, when you involve yourself, and I tell you that little sordid story, is when you get enough experience levels, it enhances everything that you do. And you only get experience levels and gain experience by participating in the system and doing things. Not sitting on the sidelines hoping for things to get better. I hope someone needs to fix that shit. Someone needs to do something. The government, no, motherfucker, you need to get off your ass and make it fucking happen. You as a person has so much power, but you let it bleed off due to apathy, fear, and stupidity. There are people out there who are not as smart as you, but they're living a better life because they understand universal law. They understand the system. They understand the game. The game, universal law, they don't care if you're black. It doesn't care if you're white. It doesn't care if you're green, Mexican. It doesn't care if you just came to the United States of America. It doesn't care if you've been here 90 years. The universal law, the system, does not care about any of that shit. And that's a beautiful thing. When you start to learn how to use your mind properly, the hustler mindset, when you learn how to forecast fortune in your life versus misery and commiserate with other miserable ass people, your life will change. And see, this is why things get a little hairy for people. Change. There are people who are refusing to live the life that they're capable of living because they do not want to tolerate or undergo the change that will be required for them to reach the next level. Because the change could be something very dear to them, like a husband or a wife. It could be not talking to your mother or father until you get enough strength to deal with them on a certain level. So when they say those negative things to you, it doesn't rock your world. It could be you might have to move from one side of the United States to the other side of the United States. So many things that are big and scary. But I'm going to tell you something. None of that is as scary as that big penis in the sky. Because see, the big penis in the sky doesn't give a shit about you. It just wants your resources. And it doesn't matter if you go broke. It doesn't matter if you end up homeless. Because the big penis in the sky gives a fuck. It doesn't care because you are just a source of resources. No more, no less. And if you allow yourself to be raped like that, it's your fault because the information is out there. I will not castigate you for being ignorant. I often consider myself functionally ignorant because there's so many things I don't know, which keeps me on that hunt for knowledge, that pursuit to gain more knowledge. So I'm functionally illiterate and I understand my place in the universe, and that makes me powerful because I know I still need to learn stuff. There are people who feel because they're grown, they don't need to learn shit. You don't need to expand their horizons. They don't need to do something different because they grown. You are a fucking fool because if you are not learning, experiencing, building, and growing until you take your final breath, you are wasting this beautiful thing called life. And I'm not grown. I am still an evolving person. I'm still learning stuff. I'm still working on myself. There is no such thing as grown. There's a such thing as death. At that point, that's when the shit stops. But until then, you need to keep working, growing, living, loving, and doing. I live in a neighborhood that's kind of ritzy. And I've noticed that the elderly people in my neighborhood are pretty fucking sharp. Whenever I sit down and I see them in the restaurant, I just chat them up and start talking to them. They're executives, they're business owners, and even they're at that point where they could just sit down and do nothing. They're out walking. I met this guy who lives around the corner. I've seen him for a few years, but I never talked to him. And we just started talking. His name's Carl. Dude is he's got to be like 80 years old. Dude's taking salsa lessons. It's like, I've always wanted to do it, and I'm doing it. So he's got this young ass girlfriend, this young tender 60-year-old. That boy is crazy. He said, I got my little young chick. Yeah, she's only 60. I am like, that's the shit. That's the shit. because he hasn't given up on life. And many people who are half his age have. They've given up on life. It's going to be what it is. I can't change it. They've pretty much just walked into the chair, and they start strapping the straps on their arm. They've put the little metal plate on their head. They've even inserted the needle. And the thing is, they got their hands on the lethal injection level, and they got another hand on the power level, and they're like slapping that shit down and just shaking, because they're pretty much dead already. They're dead. They live for the weekends to escape the misery that is their life every weekend. Oh, it's the weekend. Thank God it's Friday. I don't live like that. Shit, thank God it's Monday. Thank God it's Tuesday. Thank God it's Wednesday. Thank God it's Thursday. Thank God it's Saturday. Thank God it's Sunday. Thank God for the week. Thank God for the month. Thank God for the year. Because all that shit's exciting to me. And I would find it horrible and terrible to spend 5 to 6 days a week looking forward to 1 or 2. What a fucking waste of time. I mean, damn. Understand, as an adult, you have to do things that you may not necessarily like or be happy about in this thing called life. But damn, a whole week doing some shit you don't want to do, to hang out with some people you don't like, so you can have a few days to get drunk and do some shit that's harmful to your body? I'm sorry, to me, that's not a wonderful life. That's some shit I never had, and that's some shit I don't ever want. And you shouldn't want it either. You should want better, because in this system, you can have whatever you want if you're willing to pay the price. And the price isn't your soul. It's blood, sweat, tears. And the biggest price, making a commitment to something long term. There's a lot of flakiness online. People like, hey, they give it 2 weeks, they give it 2 months, they don't see any results, and they're out. I remember this guy. A lot of people don't like him, but I don't really dislike him nor love him, but I appreciate powerful information. And it was Steve Harvey. And this was before the books, the TV shows, all this. And he was saying, I don't do comedy part-time. I do comedy full-time. If I'm committed to comedy, comedy will be committed to me. Look at where he is now. Hate him, love him, whatever you want. Look at where he is now. And I took that philosophy from him when I wrote my first book. There was no safety plan. There was no exit plan. I had some money set aside. I gave myself a year to make that shit happen. I was fucking committed. I was committed to success. I married success. I came home to success. I kissed success every night. I fucked the shit out of success every night, because you have to have that level of commitment for success to be committed to you. As long as you're cheating on success and hanging out on success and not taking your janky ass home to success, success is not going to bless you. It's just not. And that's the thing that drives me crazy trying to preach to people. All of this, I'm going to do this. I'm picking 1 week. I'm doing storage auctions. Pick some shit and excel. You don't have to do it for the rest of your life, but you will be amazing at yourself. You will be totally amazed at what you can do within 6 months to a year with a firm fucking commitment. 6 months to a year, not lifetime, not forever, ever, ever, ever. Just 6 months to a year of straight up balls to the walls, nipples to the walls commitment. This is what I'm doing. I ain't doing shit else for 6 months to a year, and I'm just going to trick it out, walk it out, blow it out, blow it up, blow it, do whatever, and put all of your effort into it, because what you will learn is a lot about yourself. You'll learn your limitations, and people are like, I have no limitations. Bullshit. Everyone's got limitations. And if you're saying you don't have limitations, you've never really pushed yourself, because I know what my limitations were. Notice I said were, because when you push yourself to your limitations, you learn how to expand them. And then you can expand those limitations, because the limitations I have today, and I do have limitations, I'm human, are 20 times greater than the limitations I had in 1999, because every year I've been pushing and making mistakes and falling down and doing shit that embarrasses me at times. I'm like, fuck it. It's part of the success party. Every party, you're going to have some fuck ups. It's just going to happen. You're going to have the beautiful people, you're going to have your friends, and you're going to have that chick in the corner crying because no one's paying attention to her. But she's part of the party. What you do is you get up, you give her a drink, you pat her on the back, give her a little attention, go back to the rest of your guests. Because that's how success works. It's like a rose. There's the bloom, there's the rose, there's the petal, and there's some thorns. And a lot of people will throw away the rose because of one thorn. Because they don't want any destructions. They don't want any distractions. They don't want any hangups. They don't want any hiccups. They don't want any type of hassle. I mean, you want me to like cut that thorn off? You mean go get these shears in my shaky little bitch ass hand and cut that thorn off so I can have this beautiful rose stem that I can hold and stroke and it won't hurt me, and it's just going to take me like 10 seconds to really fix that? That's too much effort. Could someone else do that? That's why you're not successful. I'm serious. That's why you're not successful. Shit like that. But this is the deal. Understand that the government, all of the states, they're hurting for money. And they're going to get money any way they can. Understand that there's a battle for your wallet. And it's a ferocious battle. The government is the government. They can do shit. And they will be challenged on many things because a lot of times it's unconstitutional. And that's why we have the executive branches of government, the checks and balances. But once again, that takes participating in the system, not running from it, not saying, I'm not an American. Bitch, if you live here, you're an American. If you were born here, you're an American. Whether you choose to acknowledge that shit or not, that's just you. But the fact remains that if you go to another country, they're going to look at your American passport and stamp it to allow your ass entry into their country. And when you talk to the native inhabitants of that other country, they're going to refer to you as a Yank or an American. Because that's what you are. So instead of hating this country, instead of going on all these rants, this is a horrible, man, this is the greatest place on earth. I'm sorry. It's great. I don't see running away from your problems in some other country is going to make you a better person. In my estimation, this makes your ass a punk. I said it. Makes you a fucking punk. Because if you can't make it here, you can't make it anywhere. All right. This is Glendon Cameron. This is the 9th edition of the American Hustler Podcast. Hopefully you got something. Hopefully you are pissed off enough to take action. And if you need a little bit more assistance, this is the deal. Check out my new book, The Hustler's Mindset, Pimping Your Mind for Success. It's only in audiobook form, and you can get it on my blog, storageauctionshogun.com. All right. Hopefully you will be motivated to take this information and do something. And with that, I will see you on the good side. All right, this is the special. This is how it goes. Don't put it in the comments. Don't tell your friends. Just take advantage if you so desire. This is the special of all specials. Whatever day this video goes up, this expires, this special, this deal, this hookup expires 30 days from whatever day this video goes up. All right, this is the deal. This is Sparta action. Hustler mindset. It's currently $250 a month. And what you get for the $250 is a personal consultation. I am going to, because there's only going to be a few people so I can deal with it. For $150 a month, this is what you get. Full access to Sparta. You get all of the books there's currently. Hey, this is Glendon Cameron with the American Hustler, with a subject that you are going to enjoy if you don't get pissed off, because I might run up in you on this one. But before that, we need to pay some bills, baby. Check it out. right below or in this video, if you're watching it on video, hit the link and get my HMS 2-month special. It's the best deal that I have going. Includes 2 months of the Hustler Mindset Project and every ebook that I've ever written, plus the audiobooks. Get it. It's a killer deal. With that, let's jump off into it. Getting paid. Are you worth your ambition? There are many people that say some things, and some, I don't know. I've become a different kind of person, and I filter everything in, and I listen, and I have a measured response versus just a reaction. And I heard something a few weeks ago, and I was just out and about, and it was this young guy, and he was just talking about the job that he had. He was not being paid what he was worth. Me being the person that I am, I said, why is that? Just a simple question, no malice. Well, I got to get paid. I got bills. I have things I want to do. I want to travel. And once again, me being the dude that I am, I said, it really sounds like a personal problem. Those are things that you want to do. You've entered into a contract with your employer. You give them time and hours and work of your life, and they give you a paycheck. That's the deal. And at that point, I was around people who had entitlement mentality, and everyone just was like, well, no, the wage needs to be higher, and they need to make more money. They need to pay us because these corporations are making so much money. And I just sat back, and I laughed, and I said, okay. And I walked away. And the reason I laughed, I wasn't laughing at them, and I wasn't smiling at them. It was the wave of relief that came over my body because I used to think just like they are currently thinking. I was guilty of everything they thought. I was guilty of the same mindset. I didn't really understand how the world truly works. And it cost me big time. That's the reason I'm doing this podcast, because there are a lot of people who feel that they are worth a lot of money and are extremely frustrated that no one is paying them the money that they feel that they are worth. Now, I'm going to tell you why. Because you're not worth the money. You're not worth it. Not yet. Because if you were worth it, at some point, the money would start to flow in if you were truly worth it. Let me give you some marketplace dynamics. I tend to look at the world in marketplaces from a personal level to a business level to a spiritual level. Everything's a marketplace. In the work marketplace, right now, there are more workers than there are, we'll consider these premium jobs. There are far more workers than there are premium jobs. And we're going to say, for the sake of this podcast, we're going to classify a premium job as $150,000 a year. That's a premium job. There's a lot of people who want to make $150,000 a year because it is like that tipping point, because even with a high tax rate, you still net out around $90,000. And if you really know what you're doing and you've got the right tax shelters, advantages, you know how to use the tax code versus being pimped by the tax code, you might bring home 110, 115. And it's a totally different life because that's 10 G's a month. It's a totally different life. So that's what we're going to say for the premium job. Now, there are a lot of folks who want the job and they want it bad. They want it so bad they can taste it. It's like those cookies in the window. They just came out the oven and they smell good. The smell is coming from the door to your nose, and you want those cookies, but you're broke. You can't afford those cookies because you're broke. That's the same reason that you can't get that job, because you are knowledge-wise broke. You don't have enough intellectual assets to trade for that level of income. You are broke.
Anytime that you're broke, you can't afford things that you want. And even more dire, you can't afford things that you need because you're intellectually broke. Why are you intellectually broke? You don't read. If it's not entertaining, you're not interested. That is one of the most damning propositions of the American lifestyle. If people are not entertained, they are not interested, even to their own detriment. I read stuff that I'm reading it and tears coming down my eyes because I'm like, man, this is so dry. Then I slap myself with reality and I press forward, and then I'll put it down and I'll pick it up. There's some books I've read recently. I had to suffer through them, but I read them from the cover to the end because I wanted that knowledge. You have to be hungry for the knowledge. And let's just, really I'm going to throw the gauntlet down because every time that I talk about, and statistically it's been proven, getting a degree in 2013 is not the path to financial success anymore. It's going to become even more damning in the next 10 years. And you want to know why? Because of technology. If a company can get a robot for $30,000 total sunk cost that would do the same job of 10 people that they would pay $40,000 a piece, even if that robot combust after the end of a year, the companies will line up to buy them because of the significant cost savings. Start viewing what's going on from a cost savings viewpoint versus they should do it for the humanity. When you see that person on the street that's homeless, you don't scoop them up and take them to your house, give them a bath and let you wear your clothes. That would be humanity. That would be something good to do. There's a few people that do things like that. Most do not. Most are afraid of the homeless. Most can't wait to get the fuck away from the homeless as fast as possible. I've talked to homeless people. I've said, hey, I'm not going to give you any money, but I will buy you some coffee. I will buy you a meal, but I want to hear your story. I want to know what happened to you. And I've done this for people who were like highly aromatic. They were kicking, and I was like, you know what? I'm here for the knowledge. I'm going to buy this dude some fish or whatever, and he's going to tell me a story. When you peel back out of yourself and go for the knowledge and the benefits of the knowledge, it doesn't have to be entertaining because what's entertaining is the results. That's entertaining. But with this college degree thing, I'm going to break it down for you. If you get a degree and you get the wrong degree and you spend too much money, it will seriously impact your life for decades. It will affect how much house you can buy. It will affect the type of car that you drive. And sure, you'll see someone who has a degree. They had a scholarship and, they're working for this great company and this great job and they always have money. And they're saying, well, the reason I'm doing this is because of the degree. No, they were doing it because they were already fucking smart. This is the little secret that higher education does not let you know. If you're a very smart person and you have above average intelligence or even a genius IQ, you don't need college. You don't need it at all. You're smart enough to figure out something that will make you money. Because it's a cultural narrative that for a person to be considered educated, that they must go to college, people are pulled into it. When you really look back, because, this is once again from knowledge, back in the 60s and 50s, people matriculated from high school to medical school, law school. As the competition increased, they added more and more layers, which added more and more complexity, which added more cost. The cost of education has escalated faster than anything except for healthcare because you're told that you must have it. And if you must have it, you will spend whatever you have to spend to get it. And that is the hook. Because many people are devoid of concrete critical thinking skills. Because if you sat down and you did the math, and the thing is, this information is on the internet. You don't have to do what I had to do years ago, which is go to the library, talk to the little lady with the square glasses, and say, hey, can I get that volume back there in the special place? The stuff that they do not let you check out. Like, for most of you, they'll know there's two dictionaries. There's the dictionary and there's the thesaurus. The dictionary has maybe 400,000 words. The thesaurus has like 1,000,000. Big deal. If you are typing on your computer and you put a word in there that you know is correct and you don't get an underline, that means your vocabulary is not as big as it should be. Because if you have a large vocabulary, you will put something in Word, Pages, and spell checks are going to think it's wrong because it's not in the database. And then when you go confirm it, it's like, yes, that word is spelled correctly. And why am I saying this? Because people with larger vocabularies, prime example, hate him if you want to, he is a bastard, but Rush Limbaugh made a multi-million-dollar career for having an adroit command of the English language. This is not an endorsement. This is saying listen to him. It's just check the technique. Because I listen to Rush, I listen to Neil Bortz, I even listened to Hannity when he was the Hannitizer. Because see, this is the thing. All of these guys had history. And if you look at what they used to do versus what they're doing now, you will see a 180-degree turn with all of them. They figured being on the Republican ticket, except for Neil Bortz, who was a libertarian, would pay more money. Because, see, this is the thing. And this goes back to being worth your ambition. People who care about their causes, which could be your education, could be your financial situation, will pay to support their cause. People who have entitlement mentality will not pay to support their cause. Who runs the country? The people that will pay to have their causes supported. And this goes back to, are you worth your ambition? Because people have ambition that is big as the city of Atlanta. But they're not worth that ambition because they don't have a plan, they don't have a strategy, and they're not working. They're just walking around, when I get my money right, I'm going to have this life. Fool, you already have a life. It's just janky. See, this is the thing that people say, that when I get just right, or when the stars and the moon and Saturn and all these places aligned in the proper axis, then I'll start living. That's a misnomer. You are living. You're just not living in the manner that you wish to live. Let that facade of bullshit go, because not only you're not tricking me, but you're tricking yourself to sleep. And I can tell you from experience, time moves faster than you think. So you have these people and they're like, they have these grand ambitions, but no, they don't even have ordinary work ethic. As a business owner, when I hired people, one of my biggest frustrations was there was people I had to micromanage. I didn't want to micromanage them, but I had to, or it wasn't going to get done. So I am paying you to work me. I was not a happy camper. Once again, that's why I went to my Latino workers, because you can say what you want to about Mexicans or other people or immigrants, but when I got myself a group of the Hispanic dudes, work happened. Things were moving, asses was moving, shit was shaking, stuff was getting done. That's the mentality that you have to have if you want to be worth your ambition. Because folks are like, I am going to be a millionaire. You know, The Secret. Now, I know a little bit about The Secret, but see, there's a few things that The Secret doesn't discuss. But if you were to study and learn about these other laws, then the laws of The Secret would be more powerful. Because I could tell you, once again from experience, if you had the audacity to write a goal on a sheet of paper and do nothing else, don't come up with an action plan, don't have a timetable, the chances of that goal happening because you pulled it out of your head, you threw it into the universe, and you wrote it on that sheet of paper, the probability goes up 50% just from doing that. So there is merit to The Secret because it's about controlling your mental environment. Now, if you take that goal, that dream, that wish, whatever, out of your head, put it on paper, come up with an action plan, a timetable, then your chances of achieving that goes up to 90%. So you want 50% or 90%? Shoot, there's some people who have 0% because it stays up in their head and it knocks up with that episode of Big Brother or whatever else insipid show that they were watching versus sitting there and feeding their mind some type of information that was going to either make them healthier, smarter, or wealthier. We all have only 24 hours in any given day. There's just some people that do different things with that time. I have one television in my home. Sometimes that sucker doesn't come on during the day. I mean, it seriously, I know it's like, oh, it's been a few days since I watched television because I've got stuff to do. If your situation is so janky that you're struggling to pay your bills, you don't have money that you want, you're not living in the house that you want, you're not dressing in the clothes you want, you don't have the spouse that you want, you don't have a lot of fucking time to be watching television. You cannot get if you're not out there getting. This is the thing. This is the thing that cracks me up because I bristle with pissed offness if someone says, oh, Glendon, you got lucky. Lucky? Fuck lucky. Fuck lucky. Yeah, my voice is going up because someone said that and I wanted to bitch slap him. I was like, you do not know the shit that I went through to get to where I am. You have no clue. There was people who told me to my face I was a fucking idiot for letting the storage auction business go. And before that, I was foolish for wanting to be a writer. You shouldn't be a writer. See, this is the thing. When you're out there in the world, everything that goes on in your sphere of influence, your friends, your families, all these people that talk to you, it has an impact. It has an impact. So if you're in the wrong crowd of people with this grand ambition, and these people only subscribe to going to work, coming home, kicking back, Monday through Friday, going out Saturday and Sunday, and becoming so intoxicated that they don't even remember the good time that they had, you might not be worth your ambition. You might be fooling yourself. You might be Boo Boo the Fool and the king of fuckeryville. Because nothing happens without action. Nothing happens without intent. If you're out there talking all this smackety smack of how good you're going to be and all these wonderful things you're going to do, and you have put forth no effort towards your business in the last 6 months, you are a joke. And the joke is on you because life will pass on so fast. I don't care if you're 16 and listening to this going like, I got plenty of time. When you get to be 40 something and you look back at 16, you're going to go, oh my God, it moves so fast. And if you're 16 and you've got good parents and they're providing a stable environment, be a kid. Enjoy it. Because when you get grown, older, an adult, one of my friends put on Facebook the other day, one of the worst decisions he ever made was becoming an adult. And people were chiming in. This shit was funny as hell. And me, I was like, well, I never grew up because I'm a Toys R Us kid. And it was fun because I really never did grow up. I never got to be grown because grown is dead to me. Grown is, I am now finished. It is a complete masterpiece. The book is written and there's the end. To me, that's death. So that's why I never grew up. That's why you see me with the hip hop gear on. And if you ever saw me in public, I might have on some very colorful sneakers. I like color. And that's just part of keeping myself invigorated and enjoying this thing in life. With having this ambition, you have to own the ambition and you have to be serious. You have to change how you talk to yourself. When I was a buster, a bum, that person that was not worth my ambition. Because the thing is, even as a kid, I had big ambitions. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to do all this stuff. But I didn't have the keys to connect the dots because, one, I was young. So I actually give myself a pass on that because I was a kid. You don't know shit when you're a kid. You think you know stuff and you think you're smart, but you're a kid. And when I tell people in my family that, and it's like, yeah, I'm not a kid, I'm an adult. I'm like, okay, are you supporting yourself? No, you're a kid. And this is something else. I don't care if you're 50. When you put yourself in the position of a child, you will be treated as such. I don't care how old you are. It will not fail to happen. Trust me on that. So I had to rewrite my habits. And what I mean by that is I had a very bad habit of saying, I am going to do X. I am going to do B. I'm going. And then one day when I was sitting on the bus, because I was a bum, and I'm not saying people that ride the bus are bums. I'm saying I was a bum because I could have been doing much better. I was just not properly utilizing my mind. I just caught myself in mid-thought. I was like, I'm about to do this. And I became a little depressed because I hadn't done shit. It was just like, I am going to. Just like a record that was stuck in a groove. And I was like, okay, and that day I made this decision. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to put more energy, time, and effort into doing versus talking about doing. It sounds so simple. It was one of the hardest personal changes I've ever made in my life. It was just, your bad habits will crawl up on you and strangle you when you're trying to run from them. They were just like, no, come back here. We're not done with your ass yet. Come here. I mean, it was just backsliding. I was like, I'll start. I have a good week where I accomplish everything. And it was just a tip. Set yourself a bunch of really small goals that you know you can achieve. You know, without a shadow of doubt, and then build on them, and then make them a little harder, and just kind of create a habit of winning. And that's what I had to do because I would make these big goals and just miserably fail. And I had to learn how my process of goal setting. Set this goal, achieve it, then raise it. Set this goal, achieve it, then raise it. It's very elementary. It's very simple. You've probably heard this before. But when you put it into practical application over a long period of time, amazing things happen. But I had to break that habit, and it took me about a year. I'll be straight up with you. It took me about a year. It was a rough year. And this is kind of where it kind of pivoted because that was one of the reasons that I was a good salesman when I was at PowerTel, because I set goals and I would try to, raise the bar. So when I got laid off that final time, I was already in the action mode. And that's probably why when the dude offered me 2 weeks, I said, no, I'll leave now, because I went home and took action. If you leave this podcast with nothing else than that, learn to be action oriented. Because even if you mess up, because you're moving energy around, you're creating, you're going to get more out of that than being stagnant and just waiting for life to come to you. I said this to someone who doesn't talk to me that much anymore, because we were talking about writing. And she was a literary purist. It's like, so when does the muse come to visit you? And I didn't know this chick that well. She was friendly. I was friendly. We knew the same people. And I just said in mixed company, oh, I don't wait for the muse. I go track that bitch down, bring her to my lair, sit her in the chair and say, perform, bitch. She just kind of looked at me, picked up her drink, and walked away. This is a true story. She just walked away. I've not talked to her since. And the thing is, I was 100% serious. I was really, really serious, because I will share this with you. There was some I don't do, and some people are pissed off, but oh well. It's better to be pissed off than pissed upon. Then again, some people like being pissed upon. Anywho, I used to do this thing called Passionate Friday, and it was a way for me to get pussy, and it worked very well. I write these lovely romantic poems, and I would send them out to a listserv. This was like freaking 90s. And being a procrastinator, a lot of times these Passionate Fridays were not done until because the good thing was I put them out Thursday night, so, Friday morning they'll be there, Passionate Friday. Well, so much of that stuff was written between 11 and 11:59. It is just amazing, because I procrastinated, and it's like, okay. And what I didn't understand, and this is what I'm saying, when you take action, you get stuff out of it that you just don't realize you get until later on. And what that whole process taught me was how to induce creativity. I got to the point where I could snap my fingers and boom, I had it. I didn't have to like you're straining on the toilet, like, nothing happening. No, my stuff was regular and smooth. It was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm out of here. And it didn't even smell. And, I'm making jokes of it, but doing that for free, just for a friend. Well, actually, it worked out very well. But I got out of that whole process how to learn how to put myself in a creative mode anytime that I wanted to, anywhere that I am. Because sometimes I wrote that stuff in the airport. Sometimes I wrote that stuff on the bus. Sometimes I wrote that. I mean, I just learned to be creative wherever I needed to be. And I didn't really realize how valuable a skill that was until I started writing full time. I don't get writer's block, and it's not to say I don't struggle, because sometimes I'm working on a piece and, me following my own advice. Sometimes I write stuff that I just don't like. I'm not in love with it, but it has to be written. And I think, this is a turd. And sometimes with these podcasts and videos, I'm just like, man, this actually sucks, right? And I put it out and people are like, man, I like this. This is one of the best ones you ever did. And I'm like, okay, fine. All right. And I will, just be straight up again. When I upload stuff, there is a certain level of fear because I'm like, you never know what the hell is going to happen. Because, I have videos that I absolutely deplored that actually are some of my best viewed videos. It's kind of crazy. Then there's ones I thought, yeah, this is going to go out the park. They're going to love it. And people like, oh, wake me up when you get to something better, Glendon. But that's being worth your ambition. You have to take chances. You cannot say you have ambition and you're doing this stuff and you're doing the damn thing when there are no tangible results. A tangible result is if you want to make horseshoes, you go out and you buy iron and you get yourself a forge or you do whatever you can so you can clang those horseshoes out. Because once again, when I hear people talk about I don't have what I need, I was a poor little black child in Alabama. And I wanted to lift weights, but my mama didn't have no money. I ain't had no money. I fashioned a pull-up bar from an axle of a car. I took some cement that I found on the side of the road, mixed it up, and put it in a galvanized bucket to create a weight. Didn't know how much that sucker weighed, but it was heavy. I literally turned my front yard into a gym because I wanted to do it. And see, that's something else that I think that we lose when we go from, and that's one of the reasons I never grew up, because I'm always doing stuff. Some of my friends are like, yeah, what happened this week? Because I'm always getting myself into stuff. It is when you will deal with the consequences of fucking up willingly and openly, you can get some amazing things out of your life. And I remember we used to have, I don't even know the name of these trees, but they had vines on it. And there was this property in front of our house. And there was this like cliff and the vines were just there, tantalizing to a young boy. So we would take off running, jump off the cliff and grab the vine and swing out, then come back in. If I showed that to you on YouTube right now, you would say, Glendon, you are freaking insane. Because one day, and I was the chubby kid of the bunch, so one day I grabbed the vine and the vine said, fuck you! And I went tumbling down the hill, landed on my ass, and got up grinning like, all right. My ass was hurting. I mean, I landed on a rock. I was walking kind of stiff, and I went back up there and took off running and grabbed another vine. But fortunately, that vine said, hey, we like chubby kids. But the stuff I used to do as a kid, and I think, in some ways that our young boys are really screwed in that aspect, because I had 2 acres to run around. There was a garden here. I mean, the whole front yard was just pretty much a scientific experiment. And yes, I had a microscope kit and a science kit, and I used to go out there like I was Dr. Doolittle and shit. But that whole owning your ambition is going to be shown to be evident by your action. Because you can want all day long. You can dream all day long. You can have the best connections all day long, but until you put action behind all that. It's just nothing. It's just a pretty dream that you can roll around in your head before you go to bed. And one day you're going to be 65, 75, 85, 95, 105. And that little pretty little dream going to still be rolling around your head. And you're going to be a miserable old person. I think those guys that was like, get off my lawn. Those guys, like sometimes there were some things they wanted to do, but they didn't do them. And they got old and they got bitter and they got mean. I don't want you to be like that. Because understand, we're living in times where you can have and do so much. I'm not going to sell you that you could be anything. If you have like a piss poor math aptitude and a piss poor work ethic, chances you being a rocket scientist are pretty slim. Now, if you're just marginally bright, but you're a seriously hard worker, the chances you being a rocket scientist are pretty damn good. Because that hard work, that work ethic, that application of effort, that just not giving up is such an incredible asset to have, because it will just do so much for you. So while you're sitting there with your ambition, and the reason I'm talking about this is I am not a genius, but I have seen certain trends before. And I'm going to talk about YouTube because about 7 months ago, some fuckery began that had my name all up in its mouth. And I said something about the 2-month mark that, yeah, this is going on. And within a year, all these people, they'll be gone, or their time on YouTube will be greatly reduced. 6 months later, it's pretty much happened. Time is greatly reduced. This time next year, be gone. And I'm going to tell you why. When you are investing in fuckery versus investing in success, it's going to bitch slap you. You're out doing shit to people. And this is one of the reasons I pulled down some of my videos. Because, once again, I'm not grown. I'm still a kid in many ways, which means I still fuck up. And I looked at that experience because my experience on YouTube has dictated to me that I just need to leave certain people alone because I don't know those people. I am just sitting back assuming shit that I have no clue to. Is it right, wrong? Now, some things I am like, I'll talk about because it's 100% clear this person's a fool. I'll do that on occasion. But I really pulled a lot of stuff down and left it alone. And I've learned, this is actually August 6th, which is coming up very soon, will be my 4th year on YouTube. I've learned in these 4 years that when you get distracted by fuckery, you actually take money out of your pocket. So when this fuckery was going on and people were doing all this stuff, I buckled down and I created Operation Ignore a Bitch. And I worked harder. And then some of the shit was pissing me off. I'm not going to lie. The shit, and I'm not going to really go into it, but a lot of the shit was racist. It was totally unfair. And a lot of people I thought were cool kind of went along with it until it became so egregious that even the most, that's like, look, dude, that shit's totally out of bounds. And while this was going on, I kept working. I kept working. I kept writing. I kept working. I kept writing. I kept working. I kept writing. And I became more successful as they started to crumble. Because this is the thing. Fuckery is like that big titty, big booty, pretty woman in the club that is one of the meanest heifers on the planet. From the outside, it looks so good. It's so attractive. It's so seductive. You go over there buying it, drinks and stuff, and then you realize you broke. That's what fuckery does. And I ain't gonna lie, I was chomping at the bit. I threw a few blows. My hands ain't clean. I said a few things, but I said it in a manner that got it off my chest, but did not have me going deeper into the rabbit hole. And at a certain point, I was like, this is it. I'm not saying anything else about it. I don't care what they do. I'm not watching the videos. I am moving on because I got too much stuff to do. That's owning your ambition. Because all this other stuff is a distraction. And I'm gonna tell you, there ain't nothing that feels as good as success. And the thing is, you don't have to rub it in their face. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You just have to be doing well. And it kills them. boom, just like stabbing them in the heart, like rapid fire, just kills them. And you've done nothing except do the right thing for you. And I will tell you something else that happened recently. Chick I asked out a few years ago. She said no. And this is my rule, just my rule. If a chick says no, I am not like Pepe Le Pew. I'm not bowing, no. Because I'm going to judge the whole situation, body language, whatever. And she said a strong no. And I was like, fine. And I said these words. Because she's like, we could be friends, but sometimes I'm not interested. And I was like, well, if it ain't a date, I'm not interested because I got options. And never bother again. Well, so shit happened, and it was an event, and I was really not paying any attention, but every time I turned around, she was in my face. This shit was funny as hell. It was totally funny as hell, and that's what I'm telling you. This shit gets to be good. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be mean to anybody. You just have to own your ambition. Be cool with it. Because I was cracking up. I was like, oh, this is too funny. This is hilarious. And me, in the Geniverse, I can get younger, better pussy. So I'm like, whatever. Was that crass? I don't give a fuck. Because that's exactly how I felt. I was like, oh, well. And last few weeks have been fucking fantastic. I just gotta tell you that. They just were in so many levels. But when you own your ambition, when you work, and the whole thing is it's about working. And realizing at times you're gonna fail, at times you're gonna make mistakes. You are not perfect. But you can develop the perfect hustle. You can develop the perfect work ethic, which is you're not gonna stop. There's times you're gonna struggle. And you're going to feel constricted. You're just going to feel like, oh, this is not going anywhere. And you're just moving forward millimeter by millimeter. But you're moving forward. And one of the things with American culture is we like what I call the grand leap. That you are dusty and ashy, then you go real clean, really quick. But that's dangerous because if you do, and it happens, and you make that kind of trajectory, it's real easy for you to get bitch slapped back down to dusty. But when you build your success over time, it takes a lot to knock you down because you've built it up pebble by pebble, brick by brick. I mean, it's substantial. It's substantial because, when the fuckery was going on and people was like, I'm going to shut his business down and blah, blah, blah. My business actually became better. But it became better because I worked harder. Understand, when these things are going on and with your ambition, you have to ask yourself this question. Do I want it bad enough? And if you pause, hesitate, you don't want it that bad. Like when I used to bid on units I wanted because one of the clampers remarked, and this is one of my tells, and he knew it. It's like when I got on something, the bid was going, it's like 100, 110. I mean, no hesitation, just bam. And it would go. I remember one unit, it was 1,000 when I jumped in, and the guy was trying to knock me off. It was like 1,300, like 1,350. Boom, boom, got to 2,750. Because he said 2,700, I said 2,750. I mean, before 2,700 even finished leaving his lips. And he was just, and threw his hands up and walked off. It was a pretty good unit. I didn't make crazy money, but I tripled my money. And it's taking that ownership. And part of the reason that people don't want to take ownership is when you take ownership, it's yours. And when things go bad, there's a name tag on it. It's yours. So it's like, people can laugh and point, but take ownership of your ambition. Become worth your ambition. I'm not telling you to dampen your dreams. I'm telling you to raise your activity level. I'm telling you to raise your commitment. I'm telling you to actually increase your game. Or as they like to say in the street, step the fuck up hard. Because I like to go out and have a good time. But honestly, I love what I do. And I think some people don't really understand that because it's like, you work so hard. I'm having fun. Doing this podcast, this is fun. because I get to talk smack, and I will make money for talking smack. If you can't have fun talking smack and making money, I mean, seriously, I might even do a cookie show one day where I'm actually in the kitchen making cookies and stuff and talking smack. That's an idea. Let me marinate on that. And this is another thing. And I should warn you, when you become an action-oriented person and you have goals, you create. It's like you got to create some type of methodology on how to handle the creative. Here's this goal, this implementation. Because I have like a list of stuff I want to do, but I can't do everything. So I put it on the list and I look at it. Because the thing is, there's always something going on. If you watch the YouTube channel, it's changing. There's always something going on. So there's a list of goals that are what I call my daily goals, and there's the weekly goals, monthly goals, so on and so forth. And then when I get to a lull or something I'm doing isn't working out, all right, let's look at this. And, a lot of times I kill babies. Like, yeah, I love that ideal, but, I have more information. I looked at it. It's not for me. And it could be killer ideal, but I try to design stuff that will fit into the channel I already have, like with Reselology. I was going to go gangbusters with it, but I realized it's like, does that really make sense? And it's like, nah, it doesn't make sense. So, Reselology is going to be kind of here and there, whereas the main focus is on the YouTube videos, the podcasting, writing, Hustler Mindset Project, Hustler University, creating your own economy, how to make a living without a job. That's where the energy is going because it makes sense. It's fun. I'm good at it. And, people like it because that's one of the best things about it. People really like this stuff. And there's more stuff coming, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So that's the whole deal with having ambition. There's nothing wrong with dreaming big. There's nothing wrong with really wanting something different or better for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's plenty hella wrong with being a punk-ass bitch to your ambition. Your ambition saying, come to me, and you're like, I want to watch TV. I want to play PlayStation. I want to jack off. Oh, Bill's smoking a joint. I want to take a toke. If you treating your ambition like a side chick, it will leave you. Just saying. You got to make that ambition the main thing in your life. And for some people, that's going to be a little intimidating because people get weird. If you remember that episode of South Park where the little dude didn't want to mess with Facebook and everybody was all on him like, you're on Facebook and you didn't friend me and all that pressure. And he was like, I didn't want to be on this damn shit. And that's kind of what happens when you're chasing your dream and your ambition. People feel neglected and they feel that, hey, you don't care about them. And that's not true. It's just you're doing your thing. So in the future, I'm going to talk about balance because that's another reason that I am doing what I'm doing with my thing is I need to be more balanced because my shit was like way out of whack. It was like 95% work, 5% play. Kind of insane when I think about it. But in the beginning, when you start a new enterprise, it may be 100% work, no play. That's just reality of starting a business, owning your ambition. I mean, some people may live like this for 3 or 4 or 5 years, but when you do it, you get stuff out of it that could last you and benefit you or pay you for the rest of your life. So it's worth it in my estimation. So that's the deal. Are you owning your ambition or is your ambition owning you? Ask yourself that question. Because if your ambition is spanking your ass, that's not a good look, player. It's not a good look. All right, this is Glendon Cameron. I will see you on the good side. Good morning, peeps. Getting back to that old schedule.
what I used to do when I wrote that first book. Get up at like the crack of dawn. No, I cracked dawn. But hey, look, there's something a little new with the podcast. First of all, let me put a disclaimer. If you are a weak bitch, if you're easily offended and you can't deal with the hard truths of life, you may want to turn away. You may not want to listen to this podcast because for some reason there are people think that I'm supposed to hold their dicks and pat them on the back and tell them it's okay when they're fucking up. It's not that type of podcast. So if you need some coddling or you need someone to hold your hand or to tell you you're a good person, go find another podcast. And with that, it is episode number 5, the American Hustler Podcast. This is a subject that I've wanted to talk about for a long time. We have a group of people that are on what I call some extremely basic thinking. Have you ever heard that expression? It's only common sense. It's just common sense. Well, it's common sense. Let's take that fucked up expression out of your vocabulary. Let's put it on the table and chop it up. Because the deal is, if it was just common sense, why aren't more people successful? I don't hear anyone talking to me, so I'm going to do the talking. We all know that we should save money. A lot of people don't. There was a statistic. I can't find it, but I will go with this. There was an article, and there was a survey, and they asked a certain segment of Americans, and based on sampling and so on and so forth, what came out of that survey was that 50% of Americans could not get their hands on $2,000 cash within 30 days. 50% could not do it. Going back to the common sense deal, we all know we should save. We all should have savings account, right? Why would 50% not be there? Now, I venture if they had moved that up to 5,000, actually, I know that if you have 30,000 cash, not in a money, not in a mutual fund, not in your IRA, but cash money in a savings account, that would probably put you in the top 10% of net worth of a lot of Americans. And then you go, what? Look it up. Look it up. Net worth, a lot of people don't have net worth. All they have is liabilities, mortgage, car notes, credit cards. They don't have net worth. So this thing about common sense, and let's really reframe that conversation. It's really about everyone knowing what they should do, but the big question is, why don't they do it? It takes more than common sense or some thing that we all know to be successful. It takes motivation. It takes ambition. It takes drive. It takes consistency. Notice that table wasn't standing on one leg. The common sense leg. The common sense leg is not that big, it's not that broad, and it can lead you into some stupid shit. Understand, you have to really go inside of yourself and figure out what really motivates you. I put out a long time ago, I wasn't motivated by money, and people are like, oh God, you're full of shit. There were people even questioning my sickness. When I got sick and then my partner had cancer, people were like, well, if it was me, I would be, and that's another thing. If you were me, you would do exactly what I did in that same situation because you would have been me. You would have had the same thought process that I did versus doing what you're doing from the window, looking outside with your nose pressed up to the glass. I stopped saying that years ago because if I was that person, I would do exactly what that person is doing in that situation. So if it was you or not, it really doesn't matter. But also, another thing that comes out of this is I forget at times that most people are poor mentally. They're poor mentally, then they're poor financially. And when I say some of the numbers, like I had a job, I was making $38,000, I had a job, I was making 40 grand in one check from selling some office furniture. Those are eye-popping numbers for the average American. That they don't see that. They've never been there, and it's just like, what? And what I've learned is your perspective is only as big as your ambition. And I'll break that down. I'll really, really break that down. You could take a kid in another country who's in a rice paddy with a hat on, and the sun is beaming down on his head. But in his pocket, folded up, is this picture of New York City, the New York City skyline. And he's going there one day. He's poor. He's in a rice paddy. The sun's burning his ass up, but he's mentally rich because he has goals. He's getting the hell out of that rice paddy as soon as he can. Fast forward to an American who lives in this land of plenty and abundance, but because of entitlement mentality, and like, well, there's not enough opportunities. Oh, the government should do more. The city should do more. Everyone should do more. No, motherfucker, you should do more. You should do more. It should start and end with you. This person who's living in a land of so many opportunities is mentally poor because their perspective is so short-sighted. And that's one of the reasons I've kind of pulled back, because people are like, hey, talk about this, show this. People can't handle that. They really can't handle it. I want you to think about some stuff if you're a long-time YouTube watcher of mine. At the number of times that I was attacked, websites hacked, reported to YouTube. Now, I want you to think, did you once ever hear me say, I'm leaving YouTube? Did you once ever hear me say, I can't, people don't like me. People don't like me. They don't like me, man, And I'm going to take my ball and go home. I'm going to go to another sandbox because they're peeing in this sandbox and I don't like the peeing. My mommy, she didn't hug me today. You've never heard me wimp the fuck out like that over some shit. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you understand how YouTube works, if you understand that when people find your videos, there's no central portal that they come in to find your videos. Most people land on your watch page. That's going to be your channel main page. That's where most folks will land. And then other folks come in through blogs, YouTube links. YouTube pushes your videos sometimes, and Google searches. So if you do a specific video on a specific title, that's how they find you. So there are people under the misconception that just throwing up a video that people are going to find it. Discoverability is extremely hard for any online medium. Did you know that over half of YouTube, no, the majority of YouTube videos don't have 500 views? So if you get past the 500 view mark, you actually did something, because most of them don't. The vast majority don't. And we get blinded by these megastars like, Ray Johnson with millions of views. That's atypical. He's an outliner. So with this thing about the common sense and we're all doing and people can just figure it out, I'm going to tell you my story. I figured myself to be above average intelligence. And for many years, I did okay. Only when I realized that I was actually dumb. You can be dumb and still be smart. You can be smart in one area and be a complete idiot in another. And I didn't realize that I was smart in some areas, but there was so many more that I was dumbass. And when I came to realize that, I was like, whoa, I needed help. I needed to explore myself. I needed to do some more research. I need to read books. I need to put myself in the sphere of other folks who were significantly smarter than I was. My life changed within 2.5 years. I'm talking about a 180-degree turn. Because you're not going to figure it all out by yourself. You're just not. There's this group of people. I'm going to call them super geniuses because I think they walk among us. And just like you have someone with a super metabolism, or you have someone who is really fast athletically. I think we have people who have serious mental gifts. I mean, we already know about the people with endemic memory, or what most people call photographic memory. That's a serious skill to have. There are people out there who are that smart they can figure it out. But I also believe these people are also smart enough to not let the rest of us know that they're that smart. Because why? They would get hated on. If it was like, hey, look, I can learn this language just like this and I can do this, something's going to happen. They're going to be snatched up and put in the lab and pulled apart and studied. And the really smart ones realize, hey, I'm just going to use my powers to benefit me and my fam, but I'm not going to tell too many people because folks can't handle it. And the reason they can't handle it is because when they see someone that's doing well, they look at what they're not doing versus going, hey, wow, that's really cool. That's really amazing. Show me more. And they start to feel inferior, so they attack what they don't know. And with this notion of, the common sense, I'm going to call it the common sense theory, because it has led so many people into what I'm going to call a state of mediocrity. You just can't figure everything out yourself. Now, this isn't a plug for my services. This is more so a plug for you enhancing and making yourself better. Because if common sense was all that it took, why didn't our grandparents and our great-grandparents and the people before them who had common sense in spades, they didn't really do that well? Another factor that's going to be very pivotal in success is the environment in which you're operating in. You could have an idiot with a halfway decent idea that'll make a ton of money in a great environment, and you can have someone with amazing passion, determination, really working their ass off, and they're barely scratching out a living because they're working in the wrong environment. Another thing that I started to do on YouTube, and understand, I freaking love YouTube. Love it, love it, love it. This is my 4th year on YouTube, and during those 4 years, because it will be 4 years exactly going into the 5th year, August 7th. So August 6th will be the 4th year. And I've looked back over the time, and there's been so many wonderful things that have happened. It's been off the chains. And there's another part of that. It's been the centers. And I think you need the centers. The centers are good. It's just part of the ecosystem. And I looked at what happened in 2009. And it's really, really funny how things shift. When I came out and I was talking about the storage auctions, and was putting up pictures of stuff, I got people, you are lying, Glendon. No one would leave anything of value in a storage unit. It's just common sense. And it went on, and people, it was like, you can't get anything good out of a storage unit. And then there was another group of people that was like, hey, this guy might be on to something. And I had a lot of people start to get on my team and watch the videos, and many of those folks are still here to this day. Then the shows came on, and it was like, oh crap, you really can get good stuff out of storage units. And it was just so funny how some people who were just like, oh, you're fake, oh, you're this, then they bought my book. It was really, really funny. Then in 2010, more hate because I started to really grow. Then 2011, the hate went bananas. It was just the hacking incidents. It was people creating alternative YouTube channels to not harass me, but to harass my subscribers. Then 2012, even more hate. And here it is, 2013, and there's some more hate. And I really realized, and just now this is the thing to just teach you how to deal with it. I handled it wrong in 2011. And I handled, 2010, 2009 and 10 really wasn't that bad in terms of how I handle it. It's just I was getting bigger, so I was getting more attacks. And then there's other stuff. And I understand when you are successful, you're going to get attacked. People are going to talk about you, and people, because the thing is, they want to do what you want to do, but they can't figure out how you did it. And since they're attacking you, they can't ask your help. So it's also in the 48 laws of power. It's like, hate what you can't have. So if you see someone like really, really hating, just losing their mind, and you're like, what the hell? That's what the hell. That's what it is. Because they want to do it, but they can't do it. So they're going to try to tear down something, crabs in the barrel mentality. And I came up with a new way of dealing with dissenters, and they really don't like it. They really don't like it because I don't go after people. I'm not going to call anyone out. I'm not going to give any bitch videos. I'm just going to continue to do what I've been doing since 2009, which is put out my content, drop it on the table, and if people go ahead and say, hey, pass me some of that, that's cool. If not, go to another channel. And that's another thing. It's only common sense. If you don't like a video channel, or you don't like the person who's creating the videos, don't watch. It's common sense, right? But no, and I'm going to break that down too in a minute. It's funny. But no, I have a new social media policy. Rule number 1, something crazy happens, 24, 40 hours, I don't even respond to it. I wait that long and see what happens. And 90% of the time, I never respond. Social media policy rule number 2, I do not get down in the mud with people anymore. It makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. Because frequently the people that attack me have no status, really not that many followers. I mean, there are people out there buying YouTube followers to make their channel look bigger than it really is. And that is pathetic. When I first started, I looked into that stuff, and the information I got was don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. All the subscribers that I have, I earned. I didn't purchase a one. But you'll learn, whoever it is out there, if you're buying subscribers and stuff, it won't work, and more than likely YouTube's going to catch you and shut you down. But the whole new way that I deal with people, the dissenters, is to be even more successful. See, the common sense paradigm, the common sense concept would dictate that you would attack them back, or you would do this, or you would, no. That's where that basic thinking bites you in the ass. What you do is you ask yourself why. Then you ask yourself, how can I make my situation better? Don't even think about these people. Because when you elevate your thinking and you can look down, you see how small they really are. So I don't really gauge in that stuff. And something else with the YouTube channel. I have so many people that really like what I do. And, part of 2011 doing stuff wrong, I was devoting way more attention to people that didn't matter, more so than the people who were really coming to the channel for information, because I would get into stupid fights, just argue with people, and it was just stupid. And I learned a lesson, and I stopped. And when and another thing that came out of that was the blocking the comments, because there are some people that feel entitled. Hey, I want to come to your channel and I want to say all kind of stupid shit about you. What do you mean you're going to block me? How come you're not going to let me sit there and say all this stupid stuff or leave racial slurs on your channel? People like that will never be successful. Understand, YouTube gives us all the privilege to put up our content because this is a channel that I have control over, but ultimately, I don't own. I own my videos. That's my content, but this channel, it's YouTube's. That's their channel. And there's rules and regulations that come with that. So I realized that. That's the reason I have my own video platform with my own special videos and subscribers. Now that's mine. That's mine. But YouTube
is allowing me to put up this content. And when you really think about what they allow, it's pretty amazing. So, that's just one of those concepts of really realizing where you are and what you're doing. But in dealing with people, recently there was a comment, and I love how people love to say, "I'm not gonna pay you." I'm like, why are you saying that? That's like going up to that pretty girl and say, "I'm not gonna ask you out." You're telling on yourself. You want to get my information, but you figure that you're going to try to shame me or trick me into putting out some gems to kind of prove to you that it's good. Your kung fu's not as good as mine. I'm sorry, that's not going to work. I'm past that. But there was this recent comment, and it was like, it's just common sense. And I was like, no, it takes more. And then by asking some intelligent questions and not getting in the mud, by elevating my thinking, I had this person answer his own question, and he went away. Because it was like, I had to work hard, and it was having goals, and it was and it was like, so what you're saying is definitely common sense is not enough, and he had to go, yeah. See, that's the new paradigm. That's the new way to answer this stuff, because don't get caught up in the common sense thing. Don't get caught up in it, because it takes way more. There are so many variables that are part of the mix for a person to become successful that have nothing to do with common sense. I know people who are stupid that are rich, but they were smart enough to pick one thing, hammer it home, and keep working it. And it paid off. This whole thing about, some people overthink success. To be really successful, get up, find something that you want to do, and you keep doing it, and you get better and better at it, and try to serve as many people as possible. That's it. There are no magic jelly beans. But people were like, well, there's a special program, I think I'm going to order this hat and put it on my head, and it's going to make me smarter so I can get some of the super secrets. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time, and you're wasting your life. Because with success, you have to really dig into what motivates you. I call it, crack whore ambition without the high. If you can tap into your inner crack whore and get to that level of productivity without doing it for the crack, you'll be amazed. Because, this is something, and I was, like I said, I'm a weird kid. I was a weird kid. And I was like, we was watching, I think, Serpico, and I asked my mom, I was like, she's making $1,000 a week? And this, $1,000 a week, $1,000 a month back then was a lot of money. And she's like, well, she's addicted to a drug, and it's that drug that's driving her. I said, wow. So you mean to tell me that she's making more money for something that's bad versus being motivated to make money for something that's good? And that's what I said as a kid. And she's like, well, that's about the gist of it. And I've learned to tap into my inner crack whore ambition without the high. Because, my daughter's like, why do you work so much? And it's like, I'm not working. A lot of times I'm producing and I'm having fun. But you've got to get in. I'm going to tell you just from experience, if you can tap into that drive, it will make up for talent. It will make up for intelligence, because most people don't have it. They'll start something and they will give up and they'll just quit, because we live in a society where if you're going too far or you're really pushing hard on a new concept, people will tell you to stop. Don't let it go. Do something else. Come back down here to being mediocre. Mediocre ain't that bad. It's warm. They've got plates, a nice bed, pillows, curtains on the wall. Come on in. Just step in. But when you step up and reach out for greatness, when you really try to radically change your life, it scares people for some reason. I haven't quite fully vetted out why, but it scares people. And they want you to come back down to being what they are. And it's just not going to make you happy, because I really didn't realize that all this was going to happen with the YouTube channel and the storage auction thing and the blogs. And I had no clue. I was chasing a dream. I wanted to write a book. I wanted to communicate with people. And that happened. You don't understand. When I got that galley, it was a green cover book with like I think chalkboard font, and I'm in the basement in my chair spinning around like wee. I wrote a book, right? It was a moment because it was a goal that was accomplished. It was like serious. Because the thing is, when you do something like that, and you understand how goal setting works, it opens new doors. And I was able to write more books and more books and more books. And it was just like, I am living my dream of being a published author, making a full-time living writing. It was fucking awesome. And how did I get there? It wasn't common sense. I'll outline the program for you. I had X amount of dollars in the bank. I said, okay, I'm not going to work a part-time job because I'd never written a book before. And I knew that it was a challenge, and understand that was an understatement. You sitting there, it's like you want to write, your mind is going everything, the squirrel is knocking on the window and say, hey, it's sunny out here, you should come out here and check out the sun. I mean, there's so many distractions. The biggest thing that I had to teach myself was the discipline to keep my ass in the chair. And it was a long and arduous process. I had no clue to what I was in there. I got into a fight with my partner because it was like, look, you need to maybe start the business back up without me. I don't know about this. I don't know. I mean, good friends were like, you sure that's the way to go? So there was the whole thing of wanting to write. And the thing is, and this is something else, and a lot of people hate Steve Harvey, but I got this a piece of advice from Steve Harvey years ago. And I look at what has happened in his life, because hate him or like him, he's a very successful dude. He said, I don't do comedy part-time. I do comedy full-time. You can't get the full-time benefits of comedy doing it part-time. And I'm kind of paraphrasing there. And that really resonated with me. So when I set out to be a writer, I didn't do part-time. I was like full-time. And I gave myself a year. I had a written goal. It's like, okay, you got a year to do this. You got a year to get this book written, and you're going to have to start making enough money to support yourself, or you're going to have to do something else. That was the goal. Well, I went from nothing to $62,000 in 14 months. No MFA, no writing school, because, I'll talk about that in the hustler mindset, because what people don't understand is writing is just communication. I heard a guy the other day, it's like, he's like, you can write. It's communication. You can write. If you can tell a story, you can write. And that was the whole thing. That's why I'm here with you today. That dream. And another thing is, there's a lot of people that don't have the courage to dream. So they're going to piss on other people's dreams. They're going to mitigate and marginalize other people's dreams because they don't have the fucking courage to chase their own. Just don't do it. They just don't have it. It's not in them. And then another thing with goal setting and dreams is like when you get something accomplished, it's time to hit the reset button. You got to dream new dreams. You got to set new goals. And the sooner the better. It's like when I wrote that book and then with the feedback, and I was like, okay, I need to write some more. That wasn't part of the original plan. So if I had used common sense, I would have probably stopped around month 4 or 5 because it was getting pretty sticky. It was very discouraging because the book was written. I was doing like one or two a week. And then I just started doing, and it was funny because the first videos, and I erased a lot of those videos, they were about the book and everything. And the book started selling like when I started telling stories. And when I started talking about the stuff I got out the units and the crazy people I ran into on Craigslist. That's when the book started selling. And I have records to prove it because at one point, if I put up 10 videos, my book sales exploded. And that's one of the reasons there's so many videos up on this channel. People don't really understand. It was like when I was like directly going, hey, I'm doing, people were like,
Wake me when you're finished with that, okay? Because you're boring me. But when I was like, I bought this unit and it was a drug dealer. Really? I'm awake now. Tell me more. Then I bought this unit and it was a stripper and she had this scandalous life. Oh man, I'm wide awake. Tell me some more. Hey baby, pop the popcorn because this shit's good. And that's the reason there's so many freaking videos, because there was a direct ratio between the number of stories I told and how my sales went up. And it was just like, really? People want to hear about this stuff? Because, my partner and I, we sit back and laugh about this stuff. And, we're going through the units. And it's just like, oh, my God, look at this. Look at this. Look at this leather. She was cheating on him, but he didn't know. Just stuff like that. And it just snowballed. And it became bigger and it became better. So if I use common sense, I would not be speaking to you today. Wouldn't be here. I don't know. I probably would have. I don't know. I want to say maybe I would have jumped back in the storage auction business, but that would have been a heartbreaker. That seriously would have been a heartbreaker because, I'm a very sentimental person, and it just still messes with me to this day about that. That because at one point I was going to get back in the business for the television show, and it was a struggle to make that decision because. For people who are like, hey, it's TV, it's more money. I've made plenty of money in my life. And once again, with the understanding that most people haven't, most people have never seen 5,000 or 10 grand or 20 grand or 30 grand cash money in their pocket. They've never seen that. And it's just like, they can't wrap their head around why I would walk away from so much money when they don't understand. Money has never really motivated me. It's the benefits and the byproducts of money that motivate me. It's the friendships. That's the stuff that motivates. And with writing, I got a whole new level of crack. It's just, I'll tell you a quick story. I was on my 4th book and I went to this event. And there was this really, really lovely woman that I wanted to get to talk to, but you couldn't get over there because dudes were like, it's like, dude, leave. Here comes another dude. Like they were taking off and landing like jets on the aircraft carrier. And I was like, I'm not going to go over there because it's already messy. It's already really, really messy. So I left it alone. And I know you go, oh, you're punking out. It's like, I don't play those games where a bunch of dudes are jocking a chick at a party. It just becomes you usually you become stupid looking. You really do. So I'm sitting there talking to the hostess, and in natural conversations like, so what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm a writer. She's like, oh, really? You write for a magazine? I was like, no, I have books. Really? I pulled out my phone, showed the books on Amazon. She said, my girl would love to talk to you. She's writing a book. Really? Where is she? And then she's like, it was the chick. It was the lovely chick though. So I didn't have to go get her because of writing. Because of writing, she came to me. And it was just like, you got to be kidding me. And the way that she came to me was totally shields down, DEFCON 0. I mean, I was able to get into the center of her desire was so quick because it went just like this. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm Glendon. Oh, yeah, I heard you writing a book. It's, I guess, a struggle. Oh, well, I write pretty much most days. I wish I had that level of motivation. Tell you what, let's have a little writing workshop. Give me your name and number, and we'll hook up at some point in the future. Okay. This chick came to my house. She came to the dragon's lair where the magic happens. It was just like, did that just happen? Did that just happen? Did that really just happen? And it was just like, whoa. Writing has given me so many things that you can't put a price tag on. Because once you write a book, once you write a book, you're treated as special by everyone that knows you. You're treated as special. But when you write several books and you have a writing career, it's impressive, okay? It's impressive. A lot of people, it's very, very impressive. I go to the bank,
Oh, really? And you're on Amazon? Hey, Phyllis, come over here. And this came from not taking the common sense route. If you're going to be all about common sense, you're just going to get common fucking results. And you don't want common fucking results. You want uncommon results. You want highly atypical